Morning, everybody. Welcome to our first meeting of the year. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ruth, would you like to lead us? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is, bear with me because this is my first time leading a meeting here.
Organization of the county.
Okay.
I'll help you.
All right, what are we doing? What paperwork do we have for that?
Ruth,
Should be on your, this is the old one.
yeah,
This
this
is
was the
what we
old
went on
one.
last year. Nothing's been changed because there wasn't a decision made. We'll have to change that.
You mean about the holidays or
Like
what?
that is who's to be president, purchasing agent.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's start with commission president.
There needs to be a motion first.
That's what I was just saying as we go through what we're going to
I
decide to
make a
do.
motion to approve Ms. Taylor as being president.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and for purchasing agent,
I make a motion for, well, you was purchasing agent last year.
well, Ruth was a purchasing agent. I was just a backup.
Oh, okay, that's right.
I'll make a motion that Ruth is the purchasing agent, Tom's the backup.
I
I
said,
second. Oh, I'm sorry.
And with the exception of law enforcement, Tom has to.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. You have all the shares stuff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Then we've got the emergency stuff.
This will also designate your meetings.
So let's just incorporate what's in the calendar that we already voted on for the first 6 meetings of the month.
Making a motion to approve the calendar meeting presented by Ms. Taylor.
The meeting scheduled.
Yeah, there you go. Thank
That
Okay.
we already approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
you.
Aye.
Okay, and sessions.
And you'll update it and then you guys will.
Is that all? Okay. Sweet, that was easy. All right, moving on. Exonerations. I'll just hand these out to you guys. Can I hand these out to them?
Hmm.
These exonerations
This consolidation.
and consolidations.
Consolidations, how many are there? 2.
Let me see the names. Okay, yeah, she's Simona.
Yeah, it's the same one on that and same one on this one.
That's not really
Okay.
what I'm checking.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Orders to combine.
orders to combine. Do you have the names of these two?
Not yet.
Okay, first it's John Solis. And the second is Donald Fields.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now this one,
Scalise is Scalise. John Scalise.
I started typing.
this one still has me listed as the president, so either they can redo them or I'll sign them.
Go ahead and sign. I move for Commissioner Brenneman to sign this, has his name on it.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Payroll,
I make a motion to approve payroll through the 14th.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Can you? This is first half April. Because that's the 30th.
Yep, you have to do the
Don't we
30th
have to
also.
meet mid-month? Don't we have a meeting mid-month? Or did I have that wrong on my calendar?
No, we'll have to change that calendar.
You know what,
Change.
we're gonna meet again though. We're gonna meet again because we want to have a special meeting on infrastructure. So we'll just put it on that agenda. That way we can notice it. So vouchers and invoices.
Anybody have a problem with it?
Ruth, was there anything noticeable that we need to know about?
No, it's mostly utilities,
Okay. Utilities, yeah.
and that's.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Prior meeting minutes. We were only down one that were we down any more, Amy? Because
I don't know if we have the 24. I'll have to double check on the second meeting in November.
I did this, second meeting in November.
I'll just have to double check it. whenever
Okay,
you-
I can check my records too. But we did the December 3rd and the 21st, and then the 15th. I had trouble opening that document.
Yeah, I'll resend it.
Did you resend it? Okay, so yeah, I might even be able to edit those during the meeting.
So we have December 3rd and the 21st
Okay,
for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve December 3rd and 21st minutes.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And then, yep.
When you walked out the door.
The one yesterday.
State settlements, do you have any? Oh, Gordon Millheimer's on here. Does anybody else want to?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
It's not as bad as it has been. First one pager we've had almost a year.
All right.
Last year.
Can I have a motion, please?
Need a motion, I'll give you a motion to approve the estate settlements.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Ruth?
Yeah, I'm looking for. We don't have to get these documents because they needed signatures.
Yeah, which ones are we looking at next? I'm still doing that.
So,
work.
Sound like 45
this is
documents.
contract 19
Now that
resolution
I'm,
number
I'll
14.
do as a lawyer. That one I can- So, see, definitely gonna need some plastic under my. No, I can't squirm without it. Getting stuck in this.
Turn the page over. So this is a drawdown. Isn't this a grant drawdown? Looks like it,
Yeah, I think it's what it was.
yeah.
Is this from the $60,000 that we loaned them?
Well, it looks like it's a grant document.
We're looking at a review and
Leslie's on.
approval of. the-
Leslie's on there.
Okay, I'm just trying to say what we're looking at. Contract 19, resolution 14 for the New Haven PSD. It says to be paid from funds the commission allocated to design the project. And the funds were allocated in 2015.
Yeah.
Leslie, can you tell us what's going on?
Yes. In 2015, the commission allocated $50,000 to New Haven PSD's contract 19 project. And this was for the purpose of, it basically was a design loan. So when the permanent financing is in place for this project, the New Haven PSD will reimburse the commission for any dollars that they've drawn down from this allocation. So the invoices that you have in front of you are related to engineering of the project, payable to Thompson and Litton, and they are for design.
And the total we owe at this time is the $3,289.
Yes, yes, we've done this on a drawdown process, so we only draw down the funds from the commission when they're needed. instead of having the commission deposit that $50,000 into the project account. We only draw them down as needed.
Any question?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What time did we what?
Ms. Gregory, what time would you like the record?
Do we have a? How about like 9:50?
9:50.
So the next is a request from the Upper Canal Valley Strategic Initiatives Council for EDA grant match. You should have all that paperwork in there. You know what?
Are they on?
Or we want to do that.
That's at 11. That's
We're
at
going to
11.
do that at 11. 'cause the
Okay.
engineer's on it.
Okay, good, I'm glad, yeah.
Yeah. So the next is a request from our county clerk for approval of a temporary part-time worker, Lisa Pepper, in the elections office.
Miss, you brought this up with us before, I think.
Yes,
Right.
you guys had said we could hire a couple people temporary to help with that and help with elections. This comes from the elections budget. There's plenty of money in the salary budget for that. Unless something wild and crazy happens.
Okay.
So I'd reached out to several people who had applied for the job previously to see if anybody else wanted. This lady had contacted me looking for specifically for part-time work. She's in fact a retired teacher, so she can only work part-time.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the next thing is the sales and use tax form for approval and signature. We do this every quarter. We got a notice, it's probably going to monthly. Is there any reason why we can't, I mean, we gotta approve the check, can we not just stamp the name instead of getting this approved in every meeting?
I don't have a problem with it.
I'm fine with it. I'm all about not holding up the agenda with things that are routine like that.
Okay,
And as, while we talk about that, same thing with the reimbursing the family.
yeah, we got that.
Okay.
That's already been done.
Do we need to make a motion to do that, put on another meeting?
Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on
Well,
the,
it's on there,
yeah, it's on the
Well, you
list.
got it worded that way? Okay,
blanket, yes.
Okay.
approval.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the signature for today and the blanket approval so that it's completed by stamping of name.
Thank you, John.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna skip number 5 because Angela's not up here, but Diane Callison's here. So the Parks and Recreation Boards, member vacancies.
Nice to see you.
Hey, Diane. I just emailed you yesterday.
So if you'll remember, the park board was here in November because we have 6 vacancies on our board. As of today, we have 5 applications that should be in your packet. I also, with the park board that we do have, put them in a chart that would designate who fills what category, because if you'll remember, we have certain requirements as to the positions open. On the list, the only one we still have vacant is a high school student. Who has not received any of those applications. The
We
entire
are full of eager
applications-
young kids.
Right,
Might be.
with all of my connections with different units. So, yeah. But we do have 5 to fill our 6. That would get us to at least an internal forum to make decisions.
Sure.
You
I'll help
should
you
have
with
all 5 applications in your packet.
Melanie's came in afterwards, so it has the time on it.
that. I know everybody on this list except for Mr. Davis, so.
Yes, he's the 4-H extension agent.
Yep,
Oh, then
That's the
I know him too, never
young guy
mind.
that came in.
So we're just looking for approval of our applications.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good job getting 5 recruits,
Yeah,
5 positions filled. I will help you on the high school. I know a couple of high school students I can.
I thought one of them
Strong
others
line.
come in here. Mike.
Well, that's what I thought too.
Right, I remember you had asked the leadership.
Mhm.
So we'll keep.
I'm gonna hit up my friend's kids. That's where I'm gonna start. All right.
The next is a general agreement between the Department of Interior, National Park Service, and the New River Gorge National Park and Reserve. So this is a general agreement. It's for the African American Heritage Tour, just so they can place, I don't know, plaque.
Well, they've already, it's already there. It's
It's
a
a
historical,
marker.
it's one of the interpretive signs that they put up.
At Russell something.
I believe it's right there across from Country
Right
Corner.
before we do that, I just remembered that we had a resignation that we need to vote to accept from the Parks Board. That Mr. Cliff Sullivan, he submitted his resignation. We just need to. can I have
So
a
did
motion to
Veronica
accept?
Crozier, she's in there. as
Who else
well.
did?
Veronica Crozier, she's in there, so she's at the very end.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the 2 letters of resignation.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, so with regard to the National Park Service,
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Angela's here.
So those are your vacancies.
Yeah, so we did have a vacancy with a passing of Jeff Aker from the Board of Zoning Appeals. We did advertise, I believe we only got one applicant, which was Rick Johnson.
Yes.
If the other 2 commissioners don't have a problem, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome. All right, so the next is a request from 911 for promotion and pay increase. I don't know if you guys have this letter. You have it in your email.
I'd like to, can we skip that one?
Yeah, I
Because
appreciate it.
that goes with some other agenda items on the main agenda, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the mileage reimbursement rate, I'd like to plow through the rest of these easy ones.
All right. So what is it, Amy? I don't have the paper.
Okay, so it's changing from 56 cents a mile to 58.5 cents, and that's for the GSA for, as of January 1st,
I'll make-
2022.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next is resolution of participation and cooperation as a certified development community, naming the NRG
Oh my gosh.
RDA.
And y'all,
That's Fayette County's local economic development
and y'all
organization.
complain about me saying that.
Listen, the 2 of you are really bad.
I'll make a
She
motion
leaves
to
stuff
approve.
out and you add stuff in.
And Jim is on call.
I make a motion to approve.
I already did that.
Oh,
Did
second.
did we find out if, I have one question,
Okay,
Anthony,
sorry.
that of the implications of, because I have no problem with doing this, obviously, because they are our EDA, but should we later this year decide to form our own EDA? I'm just wondering if if we can designate our own as our EDA. That was like, and I know that I'm springing that on you, but that was just a question I had. So do you guys mind if we skip that one just for a minute while he has time to think about it?
Yeah.
I mean, we do need to designate them right now, and we haven't decided to even create an EDA. I just want to know the implications if we do.
I don't think that there was a time limit on that.
Well, I guess here's where I stand. I mean, worst case scenario, if we decide to create one, we could just create it next year.
Yeah,
So, and I think they'll work with us on anything we need in the interim. So forget it. Let's just move forward.
I'll make a motion. You made a motion to approve, right?
And
John?
you-
Yeah.
I'll
And you
second.
seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, GST support contract for renewal. How has GST been doing? Okay.
I have no complaints.
What I like to hear.
There are 2 copies in there. they need to sign, and I don't know if they posted them or not.
If nobody else has a problem with it, I'll make a motion to approve.
So is this with the cybersecurity V-Scan service? If it doesn't include it, I want to see if we can go back and include it later.
Or do we need
And
to
we've done
approve
that
it now?
before, too.
Let's wait until it's included.
Well, I think it started January 1st.
Yeah, I mean,
But
last
they
year we
will
didn't approve it
remove
until
them, yeah.
February.
I just think the cybersecurity is,
Needs to be on there.
Well, yeah, and I want to make sure that all the backup policy and stuff is in
See, I
there
thought it
too.
was on there before. Was
no,
it
this is
something
a
else?
new. It says the contract this year includes a new monthly amount, so it must be included.
Yeah, new monthly amount for additional cybersecurity V-scan.
Oh, it says in the cover letter, it
Yeah,
says,
it's in
please
there.
note, please note, this includes a new monthly amount for,
Okay,
okay.
why I haven't made that one.
Okay, so, I have a motion to approve it.
Yeah, I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Budget memo to elected officials. I'm gonna make a little stack of stuff to sign. So we're on the memo to elected officials, the budget memo.
Anybody see any issues with it?
No,
No.
I make a motion to approve.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a Board of Equalization letter to the prosecutor and assessor. I don't remember that from last year.
We may have done it at the last meeting in December last year,
Okay,
because we already had those dates set at that point. It's just letting them know when our,
so these are our dates.
I actually have to add, yeah, I'll have to change the time on one of them because the state changed the time on the 4th.
Oh, the meeting on the 4th will be at 8 o'clock.
At 8.
But chances are it could be canceled, but they had to schedule it to start with.
Wonder why they changed.
They,
I'm just,
sorry.
well, okay, never mind. We get time.
I'm gonna need an updated calendar so I can
Yeah.
update my phone. I don't wanna roll in
That's
here
the
an
only
hour
thing
late.
that changed,
All
yeah.
right, I motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and finally, the MOU with the Supreme Court of Appeals for the Family Judge Law Facilities until 2026.
Yeah, that never got approved.
Oh, from October.
Because we didn't have
We
a
didn't
floor
even
plan,
get it.
but they also said it's not important. So,
But honestly, we didn't get it until November. so.
Yeah, we didn't.
Nice. Anthony, did you get a review that MOU?
This was on the annual report. Oh, yeah.
For the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's right. You told us because if, we'll be stuck with the building if they decide to
Basically, they
move.
walk away and everything.
Just don't rent your office to the Supreme Court, okay? Like, that's all we're asking.
So Andy, you good with it? You was good with it?
I mean, the reality is, most of, although the contract was one-sided, the reality is the family court's not going. There's a need for adults on the report, so most of what's in there. See why, part of the Supreme Court, it deals with contingencies around. What
A motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're at 30. All right, GIS mapping and addressing. getting an update? Is that what they said?
Just an update.
Well, they're not complete because I have 6 of the 10 fire department maps back. There's the ones I do have and the ones I don't have. And Joe sent out a text message to all the chiefs. There it was.
I heard Chief Wheeler was leaving Mount Hope. I don't know if he has yet, but that might be why we haven't heard back from them. Give me one. Can I have one of your letters? Can I have one of your letters?
Yeah. Other than those few fire departments, everything else has been completed.
Everything that I can do is done. So I'm just waiting on them and they're slowly trickling in, but I'm trying to see when the last text message he sent. I don't know what the communication between Joe and the chiefs are.
Hey, Joe, are you on?
Hang on a second, next year's. I asked Becky to unmute.
He sent a message out to them on Monday, December 27th.
Yeah, and told them
Told
that
them
they needed to have it by today.
and they were supposed to have it turned in the 3rd.
Okay, so Joe talked to Mark, and then Mark told these people they had to do it.
When is the next meeting? Do y'all know? I know it's set, but I
I think
just,
it's next Thursday.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's
That's
close.
the 13th.
So, and I think some of them had the understanding, when Fayetteville came in, they was under the understanding that they were to have it turned in by that next chiefs meeting. So I'm not sure, like,
let's give it at least till then, and I'll, do you know where the meeting's gonna be by any chance? Because apparently it rotates, or I would have shown up at 911.
I feel like that he said it was in Valley River, but I could be wrong about that. I can ask him.
That sounds right. Because we haven't.
Valley Bridge, if it goes in order by department, that should be right.
Valley River. I don't remember what time. They're like at 7:30, aren't they?
Yeah.
Next Thursday. All right. I'm gonna put it in my calendar and I'll go.
Joe's getting on the call.
He is- Okay.
He said- She said Joe's getting on the call.
There, you there?
He's not there yet.
Oh,
Yeah, she just texted me and said he's gonna get on. So that might be a minute.
Yeah, so other than the group text that I was included in with the chiefs, I don't know what their discussions have been about.
that's it. Like, they're usually at like 7:30 or something. Right? All right, well, let's not wait. He can just, all I want to know from Joe is when that meeting is, and I'll go and I'll talk to anybody who hasn't turned it in. Yeah. Our
There he is.
association. Okay. Joe?
Hang on a second. He's here.
So once you have this, once you have everything from them, how long will it take you
It
to?
won't take just a couple of days, because all I have to do is just outline their boundaries that they've given me, smash their bounds. It's just getting them all. I can't really start until I have all of them, so I can make sure they meet up, or I would have to start all over. Yeah.
Can you attend that meeting?
I should be able to.
Okay. I'd like you to, if you could. Is he on?
He is, but I don't think you can get him. Hang on. There he comes. Hang on. Yes. I gotta get him unmuted.
Okay.
I'm glad he's here.
Hey, Joe. Can he talk?
I've asked him. There he is.
Joe, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning. So will you remind me again when the next fire chiefs meeting is and the time and location?
Well, there's a fire association meeting
That's what I mean.
next Thursday at Golly River.
And is that still at 7:30?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the list that Dateline gave us up to date about the numbers of about who has provided feedback? Or have you gotten any more in the interim? I don't know. Are you muted? Is he looking at the- Joe, did you hear my question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we have a list that says, Lynn said Montgomery, Boomer, Golly River, Smithers, Fayetteville, and Oak Hill had returned their boundary maps. Have any others, to your knowledge, returned them since then?
If they haven't turned them into Daylin, then she's the one that's been receiving them. I know Fayetteville was here the other day, and there was a couple others that she told me about.
Was the deadline January 3rd or was the deadline next meeting?
I'm wanting to say it was the next meeting. And I have sent them text messages, I've sent them emails and told them. I don't know what else to do. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Well, next meeting hasn't happened yet, so I'm just gonna plan to go and you know, I'll talk to them there if we have any issues. All right, thank you.
If they don't
Yes.
have them, just hold up their money.
Address that. We can address that one.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have anything more on?
No.
Okay. All right, so moving on to the 911 descriptions and applicant pool. You wanna lead with that?
Yeah. Wait. Now, what's that now?
The 945, the job descriptions and building an applicant pool.
That me?
Well, the applicant pool is basically, I'll just explain. I'm sure I can. But,
I'm confused.
okay,
Go ahead,
so
Alex.
the job descriptions, we want updated job descriptions from everybody. Have you guys provided those recently? Like with exactly,
We thought Kevin sent them to you all a few months back.
they don't seem to incorporate everything you do. They need to incorporate everything you do. So can you guys take a look at your job descriptions, make sure, and not just, you know, individuals and then supervisors, like look at them, make sure that they incorporate everything you do, add the additional duties as assigned to
You
it.
want ours and dispatch?
Yeah, yeah. What we want to do, especially for positions like dispatch, where we have, you know, more turnover, we want to have at least a periodic posting so we can have an applicant pool and don't have to, you know, go through a bunch of, you know, hoops every time you guys need to hire
We have
someone.
openings right now.
Yeah, and so that's what we're talking about, like,
The job.
okay. Do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything to add. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we can totally post it. We'll totally post
Well,
it.
they have applications, they all have, also have vacancies, but they haven't done anything, because Kevin's out on leave.
I think you need, we don't know how long he's gonna be out, right? Well, in this case, then Tanya, I submit your recommendations to Ruth. Okay, and you guys make a decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And we've delegated that to Ruth, so, you know, you'll bring him formally through us, but if you need to fill him sooner, you know, you go ahead and if they pass all the checks, you know, do it, and then we'll finalize it, formalize it.
Just if you interview, make sure.
Okay. All right, and you guys want to go, you know, we have that other item on 911, but that's an executive session. item. I want to put the executive session off to the end.
I agree with you.
You cool with that?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're not going to discuss and we wouldn't do that in public anyway. So we'll reach out to you once we make a decision. We'll vote on it in public, but we wouldn't have the discussion in public. You can wait, or we can call you when we go into session if we have questions, because I have a couple questions about it. But I don't want you to have to sit here and wait this out. It'll take a little bit. So, okay. All right, so. We didn't have anything to vote on that one, right? No, I don't think we did. Okay, so Meadow River. It's not finished. I'm just gonna do when they get all theirs together. Well, I'm gonna have it by our middle meeting, like we'll get that done, but
When do you want us to bring you back the descriptions? The other descriptions?
Soon as possible.
yeah, our next meeting is the 31st. When do you want them in your office?
Yeah.
Well, before
Well,
that,
before
she's
then,
gonna want.
because y'all want to
So you want it
This
for the
is
next
good.
meeting?
2 weeks in advance.
That's the 14th is the due date for that. meeting.
Yeah, so by the 14th.
And we
please.
are doing another meeting. Could we add to that or not?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not
but-
if you want it 2 weeks in
It'll-
advance.
It'll be soon enough for those, and we can update the dispatcher position. They already have applicants, so at least they have people they can hire from before we post the new one. But we can expedite, if you would prioritize the dispatcher one. And if you can finish it in the next day or two, get it to Ruth, and, that way if when we schedule this special meeting, we can put it on there and get it posted for you in case you need to round up more applicants. Okay, does that work? So Meadow River Trail. You forgot your phone and she's getting ready to pull in the lock.
There's a bid award, is it
Oh.
Allison?
Okay,
I'll go grab it.
Okay, Amy's gonna go get it.
okay, tell her thank you.
He said to tell her thank you.
Huh?
Yeah,
Hey, John.
Oh, she texted you. I'm sorry.
that's where Amy went. She
Okay, I'm sorry.
texted everybody.
At 10, so you might as well take a break. Joyce said she was getting ready for it.
That's where Amy went out to get it.
Everybody's
Everybody,
texting
thank
me.
you, Captain Obviouses.
Thank you for helping
Okay,
me, folks.
let's take a,
15-minute break.
no, let's not take off 15. Let's take 10-minute break. I'm gonna be just.
Well, Teresa's gonna be here too, so.
Right, that's right. So
He said maybe.
let's take a 10-minute break.
You're
That
good.
way we have 5 minutes
I
to meet
can't
her.
figure out how to mute you, so.
Oh, and if Tom looks at you like this,
Mhm.
that means he needs a break.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you,
Did I mute her?
I know we talked about that. Yeah, I had a brain for it, man.
I was like, come on, man.
I had a brain for
Y'all are not muted. because I can't.
Well, let's take the break.
it.
I pushed that
Lost
button.
it.
Yeah, I know.
I thought
It is.
Everybody's getting messages. See, you know how it is. You try to take care of your animals in the morning before you leave. And you're trying to, oh, look at this. I get a phone and food both. Good doggies.
Oh.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I bet you that's been going off like nuts.
Taking a 10-minute break. So you want to mute us because Ruth's gonna figure it out. Thank you. I mean, I'm not gonna say nothing. John might.
Well, I mean,
You weren't muted yet.
Do
It
y'all
may not
have
matter.
specific questions about those bids?
Well,
all right, we're back a little bit later than I had hoped, but we're at the Meadow River Rail Trail FEMA remediation project. Whose agenda item is this?
So it should be the bid award,
The bid, oh, the bid award.
and
Okay.
you guys should have
Yep.
this in there.
Yes.
What does it look like?
And I don't think
That's the one that was recommended. I
Hang on, let me
believe.
see who's- Oh, it's Mr.
These are-
Altizer.
should
He's
be
back on lunch.
Remember these bids?
No, it's
Mhm.
not him. No, it's not him. It's Roger Kennedy.
This
Sorry.
is his
Yeah.
I got the wrong
letter.
person. Sorry.
But if you
which
have
company?
questions,
Yeah.
he may be able to
Yeah.
answer.
I
Bill
was
Hines.
right about what-
Yes,
about-
Bill
about-
was here because Matthew had
about
to
the
do
board.
interviews.
But yeah, it's
back.
Roger. Yeah, sorry, my mind. It was two people at the same time.
Yes.
You said it wasn't. I said, sometimes you always get what was presented, but evidently it's correct.
No. This one says, which one are you talking about? This big one?
It's right here. So,
So they just need to go.
Okay.
is he gonna talk to us about it?
Can you walk us through these recommendations, please?
So the first item is actually the bid opening.
Yeah, The bid award.
So I can briefly cover that. That's more of a Chapman technical component. So from program perspective, for review, there were a couple of minor dings in the administration of it, but the apparent low bidder seems to be squared away. There's a $50 issue. I don't know if you want to ding a contract on a $50 math error. But everybody's fine with that, so it's definitely up to you all as to how to decide. My best program recommendation at this point is the faster we do this, the quicker we do this, the better off we will be with the program, which we're living life under a microscope.
Yeah, and if the other two commissioners doesn't have a problem with it, I'd say I motion to approve $47,854.
I mean, otherwise,
Second.
you guys didn't distinguish any differences in what we're gonna get for the job.
No.
We'll
'cause
get
it's
the
all
same
under
thing,
a
no matter who it
contract.
is. It's all about the dollars at this point.
Yeah, it's all under a contract and they have to meet that contract.
Okay.
And
And this actually comes out of our funds, not the grant funds. This is for reality.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is this 47, the bid, 47,854 did come within the criteria of what is requested to do this job.
From
Okay.
FEMA? Is that what-
From,
From Chapman.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
yeah,
That's my
All right,
design.
so you move that we accept the Gold Technical LLC bid of $47,854.
Yes.
now second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Bill Hines and Matt Ford, current status and program options and extension request letter for approval and signature.
So we can address the current status of program option now. You've got time to absorb it, go through the information, whatnot. Please stop me at any point in time. I'll just very functionally just go through these items. Overall, you have three options on the table. The current program status is a very nebulous term right now. There's most assuredly, it has everything to do with the timeline from the staff. All FEMA grants have a shelf life.
Right.
So in that regard, we're still under the microscope and submitting a time extension request, which I'll address here as a residual of what you all have just decided. That's one of the components.
So I thought we submitted that already.
We did. The state pushed it back, wanted some additional details.
The state, what does the state have to do with the FEMA request?
The state is the grantor, or I apologize, the state is the grantee, so the money comes through the state in the process, and the state is specifically responsible for administering the program. FEMA script sits in an overlord position.
But I was just trying to figure out why they would have a say in an extension request, like that's different.
For the most part, to be our advocate. And that's what they did. Their response came back. Yes.
We're gonna hold you up a little bit. We're gonna advocate for you, but we're gonna hold it up another couple
I
months.
appreciate the response, but it is.
I'm a retired Fed.
Okay, so the state of West Virginia, recently coming out from their manual drawdown process, the same dubious distinction that they shared with Puerto Rico, has enacted a host of administrative fiscal processes that were not in place for a long time. And one of these processes is to be a vetting entity, which is a requirement and is written as a grantee responsibility, is to be an advocate for the local applicants. In this process, Susan Kuhn, the program lead, actually was the one who reviewed it, came back to the feedback pointers. Let's tweak this here, let's get this information here. I think it's a good thing because it now allows us to provide them a latest, greatest update, which we have now chosen a contractor on at least one component of the project,
Okay,
which is the trail work.
well,
We still have the complex look as we lay out the three options. in this process.
I want to thank you for getting this to us in a timely manner, because I did read this when I got it in my email some time ago. Did you guys have some preferences on the options? I liked option B.
Well, I was wanting him to go through all of them, if you don't
Okay.
mind, real quick, and then I've got some questions on it, yeah.
All right,
If you could.
So, as stated in the opening blurb, we do have an active every 2 weeks. We're meeting with DOT. They're very involved in getting us information as best as a state agency can be involved. And also balancing their own workload. So we have that in step. In the process, we're still working on putting us into a compliance stance with the federal government and with the program. So laying out your options for you, you have the three big options. The number one is to do it as we have it with this bifurcated administrative process. So we've got this project actually got 2 days. We have the trail work and we have the bridge. Bridge work needs to be administered and live its own life. However, ultimately, and unfortunately for DOT's perspective, Fayette County is responsible for the monies that DOT has obtained, not DOT. So the reason I put it like that is my script, that means DOT is actually a supporting entity. So I'm treating them very similar to a third party contract.
Correct.
That state, the county entered into an agreement, it was previous administration entered an agreement with DOT. So we have several rules that we have to follow by that process that we agreed to. One in particular is that we needed to provide the balance, 25% of the estimate. That was the first place that we got a little confusing because the original estimate number included these sites that you just awarded a contract with. However, back then, when the agreement was set and the math was set, it was based on the entire approved FEMA amount, which is not a budget number. It's just an estimate, just a guess. So that's where we kind of, and I think maybe you're familiar being from a former Fed, this language, the money can never lose, the funds can never lose its identity. And unfortunately, that's what we did. So we backed out of that now. And so we have an idea of where we even have the information on the interest bearing money. So there's some actual things that are going on in the background to keep us compliant. With this option, you do have what has been, and like I said, in section A1(2) is the option early. We have a 19% service charge from DOT. We have yet to find this in the agreement. We don't have the agreement language. We don't have, and the reason I bring this up is being part of my ilk is to put my ear to the table and read tea leaves, if you will. I get the DHS Office Inspector General audits on a regular basis. You can sign up for their newsletter. So anytime they do an audit, they send it to us. This is a major deficiency.
Well, the way I read it is, correct me if I'm wrong, or I could be wrong, is it was put in there without being actually shown that there was a 19% because of funding. Is that correct?
Right, and I want to try to be careful here because I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know that
it's
it
beside
was
the point.
intentional,
Yeah,
or it could be error and omissions, or it could be just a matter of simple process that this is the way that they've done this perfunctorily. And again, that has to do with the fact that they took these monies and are trying to administer it under the TAP program rules, thinking they were similar, but they're not. The Stafford Act rules are in many cases vastly different, primarily because of that short timeline. Initially out of the box, 18 months is a really quick time to do an infrastructure recovery in today's day and age. 18 months. It can be done. It's not impossible, but it can be done. But generally that puts you on that clock. We're much longer than that. So in that regard, we're still beholden to this current path that we have. Even though we finished the trail work, we still have the bridge work that's remaining until the time extension is approved. The state will release the 25%. Then we'll share it with the DOT and then they'll bid the project. We don't know when that is. not making excuses for my former agency, they're extremely busy. They're facing historic workloads. That just, in knowing what goes on behind those closed doors, they are under press.
Okay.
So answering our time extension request, I would venture to say they wouldn't promise a timeline.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think you agree, you was talking about number 2. Is that
Well,
correct? I want to
number-
maybe get.
I like number 3 as well. I did not like number 1
I don't
at
either.
all. Did you like number 1?
No.
Okay, so let's move on to B and C.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like C, except for the timeline. I was
Well, see,
worried
I
about all
still
the
think-
property agreements.
Yeah, I still think the timeline's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried about that. That's
Yeah.
why I kind of went back to B. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
like this, and then, oh, no, that's gonna take a
Well,
long time.
If we do B, and I agree with Ms. Taylor, and I think John, I don't know whether I didn't hear John
Yeah.
correctly, but my question was, we're gonna pay either way. It looks like we're gonna pay either way, whether it's A, B, or C, or 1, 2, or 3. We're gonna have to, we may end up paying, we just may end up more in one or the other, but that's the reason I like B in the timeline. What timeline do we have? That's the question I really have. What's the timeline? If we go with B, is there a timeline if we take it over, or is there not? Does this timeline go away?
The best answer I could give you is we're still under press to get it done as soon as possible, and the timeline would be determined based on our actions. We would rest control of the entire project.
That's what
Whereas we gave a big chunk of that away,
Right.
and if we terminate from the meetings, if we go in a different direction, but now we control it, then we can get on our proverbial horse.
And just bam, bam, bam,
Yes, sir.
we can just,
Absolutely.
okay, that was the only, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that was my thing is if we can take control it and go through it and hit this thing as quick as possible and get it
I
done.
like B and C,
whatever.
just like you did, until I saw the timeline
Yeah.
on C. And it's just too unrealistic. It's
I think
really not.
I think C comes up, makes some timelines that kind of harms the situation.
Well,
And
I
I'm
think
not saying I don't disagree
It
with
could
C.
indefinitely delay it, though. like
Yeah,
all
delay
the-
it. C can
Yeah.
actually delay it, where B would be less delays. It would be up us to get it done.
Correct. C has an attractive option of potential cost savings.
Right.
And so we're, again, on our proverbial horse, and that connection and making sure and seeing that through, that's definitely why it should be there. And it would be interesting to the federal government to present it to them. And then with your permission, I'd like to, at the very least, share with them what we choose, but eventually, in full disclosure, they need to know a lot of this stuff, what we're considering while we're doing this.
Well, I
decision.
just don't want to get to a point where we're asking for another extension because we're having trouble negotiating with property owners on option C. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's the only hang up.
And then environmental on it, yeah.
yeah.
If they approve this one, this will be the
Yeah,
last
there's
one.
just too much bureaucracy and this is too, I mean, I just know all these organizations, it made my head hurt as I started reading, okay, we're gonna have to do this and probably private citizens. So B just, I mean, even though I feel like in the long run, it's probably gonna be more efficient and cost effective, because if we drag it on, I mean, the price of goods can go up even more. There's just a lot I could see happening, but. So
We're in a good place. Homework, the technical homework is pretty 98%. We have the actual engineer that created the design. So, they have that background in institutional knowledge. So the startup with that would be very quick.
So we made a decision today, we can actually start today.
We could turn around and issue a notice to Chapman Technical to go to market with the scope of work.
Bruce, did you have any input on this?
I know it's, I'm not gonna say what I wanted to say, but there's an issue with everything, but something has to be done now.
Yes.
And to me,
It has been I mean, I've been here a year now and we've made no progress.
Yeah,
Have you, other than,
and it could cost us anywhere we go, but I think B is,
It's been over 5 years.
I think B is,
Yeah.
that's what I choose. When you said B, I agreed with you.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of stopped it from explaining everything else.
yeah,
And still, we're wasting time by doing that.
yeah, I mean, I knew I didn't like
You agree
A,
too, John?
because A
Yep.
has caused so many
Make
delays
a
so
motion.
far.
I'll make a motion to accept B.
Terminate for convenience the agreement with DOT and bid the bridge replacement under county authorities managed by Chapman Technical Group.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a lot more questions, but I don't want to waste any more time.
Not gonna have that.
All right.
All right, let's move on to White Oak PSD sewer extension and the PER funding from county ARPA for New Haven and White Oak projects. You ready for us? I figure you can handle it.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'd forgotten about it too.
Real good. 300 new customers, 320 is what I got.
320.
Look at
Okay.
you.
300 new customers.
It's because I live there.
Oh, oh, in White Oak.
We did the initial cost only. Both ways with the package plan and also now and some back in the bank plan. So it turns out the package plan somewhere 22.5 million is the package plan. The main, come back to the main plan is 21 million. Well, you know, the basic information and follow, I guess it's the main two things. You need to finish. Cost, right?
Well, and there's also another thing that goes in as a monkey wrench. New Haven actually owns all of the sewer rights in that area, correct, Kenny?
In what area?
Going over top of Carlisle Mountain and down to Dothan, all the way to Mossy.
We have essentially, you should say, by virtue of the consolidation back in the 90s, ended up with all of the PSD jurisdiction, because they were consolidated in with us. So we would, but in the past, we have had what we would call governmental agreements. We entered into one with Danish PSD to give them the ability to run water lines over into Russellville. And the same type of governmental agreement could very easily allow the process to go forward with White Oak PSD. Wouldn't be a problem at all. My opinion is whoever can get there the fastest and the cheapest might be the person given the opportunity to take care of it.
Okay, so I know that you can't speak for the board, but
I
with,
would be glad to bring it up at our Monday meeting and pass that resolution that we approve that submission of that area.
okay, and especially with having Mr. Lively living there in Dothan.
He would certainly be in favor of anything that would advance quality of life for the people down
That's correct.
there. And I'm sure that, you know, like I said, what you said, I'm not able to speak for the district as a whole, but I believe the district as a whole would be behind seeing this go forward.
I know this is something that that back in 2016, 18 sometime, that was something that I was talking about that I would love to see happen, because there's still a lot of expansion down there, especially coming right off the turnpike. And then the amount of cabins and stuff that's already there and the land that's there, there could be several others moved to give us extra housing needed for the county.
Certainly, and anything that build up any of our areas that county, you know, for industry, for residential, for whatever purpose, you know, for recreation, any of those things that would bring people to spend money into our county would be welcome. And provide a better quality of life.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, thank you.
So-
Wanted
so
to make
this-
sure that you guys could get that agreement in place.
Now, this is a two-part agenda item. So the first part was to get us the numbers that we can use for our infrastructure priorities, right? And then the second part was to discuss funding for the pre-engineering report. Is it that what's called? Preliminary engineering report. And what was the amount of money for that?
No kind of really discussed that the last meeting, we voted on the agenda, it was 40,000 for each.
Yeah, that for each, so a total of 80,000.
I thought it was total 200,000 for all of it. 4 New Haven projects. One wide open, wastewater treatment plant projects. Yeah, total $200,000 for total. What I remember. And it occurred to me, this project we just discussed probably should be the same thing for it. Yeah. I'm not sure. Well, I asked in the meeting, the last meeting, we talked about paying back the funds. And I don't know how, it has to be done before a certain, if we agree, if the commission agrees to do this and there is a possibility of paying back after the grant, I think what we talked about is Leslie talked about a grant. And then it was 50% would be county would pay and then 50% grant would pay. So I think we have to pay it up front for my recollection. I don't know if she's there or not. And there would be money paid back to the commission and would be a certain time that that money could be paid back. And I think Mr. Hayes was supposed to find out from Leslie if that's possible.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you?
I did, and her reply to me was that most funding sources do
I'm trying to
allow
stretch
for
the money.
the repayment of the money put out on the front end for these projects, such as engineering and all the soft costs that are involved in getting a project up and running. And I'm assuming that these funds that the state has to, ARC funds to be administered, that I'm assuming that they will carry that mechanism as well to be able to pay back monies that was fronted from whatever sources to get the project in a state of readiness, if you will. I guess it'd be just as good a time as any to throw out a possibility that there are funding agencies that have a mechanism to have what they refer to as a forgivable loan. I'm assuming that it's in place to satisfy the bureaucratic needs of the process, and it's a way to satisfy those needs as well as have a get or done mentality. And so I might mention that funds that we're looking at are funds that are have a necessity to be grant funds, want to be administered by the county, but the process of a forgivable loan, which we participated in with other funding agencies, has been a possibility. So I just want to throw that out there that other funding agencies have a mechanism to allow the money to come up front in the form of a loan. And at some point, once it's fully funded, that those funds are shifted to a grant, which has been referred to as a forgivable loan. So I don't know what direction that you all want to pursue in this, but surely the funds could be, I believe, with this type of funding, reimbursable to the county. So the money is put up front to get this thing up and going, and keeping the timely issue from being a deal breaker for the project. So any of that consideration would be welcome. And I hope I have said something that David would disagree with, And what I'm saying, that, I'm not the technical mind, but you just kind of absorb a little bit of stuff by osmosis with a number of years, so. And I'm not trying to pass myself off as an engineer, so. I just wanted to make that pitch, just in case. It would be a possibility.
So I want to mention something because we got an email the commissioners did last night. I don't know if my colleagues had a chance to read it yet. I just happened to. I normally wouldn't have, but now from Jenna Belcher, who's the director of NRG RDA. And she mentioned a project called Dig Deep that is a right to water organization and some potential funding opportunities. Apparently, she used some documents your firm provided. And she thinks that we ought to have a Zoom call with us, Region 4. What is PD? Oh, the PDC. Anybody know what that might mean? NRG RDA and Dig Deep to discuss next steps. And I'm thinking maybe we can try to set that up with our meeting that we're about to have, that we haven't scheduled yet, and can like make this decision then. Would that be cool?
I mean,
If we do it like next week
yeah.
or,
Yeah, and they're from California, is that correct? What I read?
yeah.
Yeah, but they've been doing a lot of work in McDowell County.
Well, he's just
Okay.
talking about time, I guess, for like the time we have
Yeah.
to have them on the agenda, but we have to get through our priority list to get that letter to,
Yeah.
down to Charleston anyway,
Yeah.
so we can have that ready and discuss that first. But, and, I mean, 7 a.m. isn't too bad, like if we had them on at 10 or 11, but I'd kind of like to hear this just to see. I mean, I feel like the PERs are important. I'm concerned a little bit, and I would need Ruth to help me understand that even if we put these out as loans, my understanding is the loans would have to be repaid by a certain time, and then we would have to reallocate the money if repaid by a certain time, or we would lose it.
2 years.
Is that right?
Well, it has to be allocated by when in 24?
I'm reading it this way.
Oh.
more interpretation than that.
Oh, I thought you knew it. I thought you
I
knew the
know
date,
the-
Ruth,
I thought it was December of 24, plus we had to have it allocated.
before at December
But they're
24.
talking about, because he's talking about like the loan forgiveness and stuff, there's that language in here too, so
Okay.
somebody is gonna have to interpret that.
That'd be.
Well, I'm sure you're pointing at him if he could interpret that for you.
I'm pointing at Anthony.
Or I feel like
That's what I
there's
said,
probably
Anthony.
somebody down in Charleston who can interpret it too.
Oh, no.
Lend us a hand. There's nobody. down
After
there?
that one that we got last night, you think somebody down there can interpret anything?
Which one?
The one that Michelle sent us.
Oh, no, I don't mean from that
But
office.
we can get. an
No, I was thinking somebody at the auditor's office. Or
Yeah.
somebody.
Well,
Well, we have to, don't we have an auditor here today?
Yeah, he-
Oh, okay.
Or somebody who's like, because I know for CARES, they had somebody under the governor somewhere who was advising people on that. I don't know if they have the same thing.
He read me the FAQs, so.
Yeah.
So helpful.
well, the only thing I'm wondering is, should we have pre-engineering? How quick can you do? I just asked a question. Pre-engineering, how long would it take to do it?
Usually we take 2 months.
2 months, that's pretty, yes, long as that.
We try to do all these simultaneously if we. So,
Well. I would find, I mean, the only reason I mentioned paid back is because Mr. Hayes talked about it last time. I mean, I think we need the engineering work or pre-engineering work, but if you want to go ahead and look at this other, it's just time maybe in essence to get stuff down to
That
Charleston.
jumpstarts the project, so who knows how long it'll take until maybe assuming the ARPA funds.
Right.
But I'm game to look at other options, but I think we ought to try to do something to get something in somebody's hands for some engineering.
See, that was my basic thought was, to try to come up with a plan that would get something moving. So that we could get started with that engineering, so that we would have this project set in motion already when the state decides how they're going to prioritize and fund these projects, that we would have one that was already started, so they could jump on board with open arms, so to speak. And so, you know, naturally, I would prefer to have grant funding, and as anybody else would, but that particular mechanism is already in place by other funding agencies and has been successful to get things up and going.
And if I may address something you said, Tom, with these figures we've given you all on the cost of these projects would include 100%.
Can we-
I got the whole
Yeah.
40,000 email already, from last year for so if we get those funding, y'all can do that.
Well, let me ask you a question. Can we get funding back? And not, and we'll not put it back in the ARP? Can they just refund us the money and go back into maybe a sewer account or
No,
something?
if it's ARPA, it's gonna go back.
Remember
into
that thing
ARPA.
he
Okay,
said
well, what
about
if
the
it-
money has to maintain its,
Okay, let me ask you a question. If it doesn't come back at a certain time, but they're saying they're going to refund us the money, but it doesn't go back into ARPA fund, it just comes back to us as a
See, but still yet, only 2 years.
just
see, we're not-
pretend like, you know, how in a money laundering operation, you might try to mark your bills. These are marked bills. So wherever they go and when they come back, they're gonna know they're marked.
Well, even if the agreement was, it doesn't say he has to pay us back, or is there something? Well,
No,
I'm probably trying to look for
There is
something
no way
that's kind of
around.
fishy, right?
It
may be
is.
fishy.
it is. My spidey sense is
Okay,
it's tingling.
okay. I'm just trying to figure out something.
Well, I used to do the drug trafficking.
Yeah, yes.
investigations.
I couldn't resist that one.
Territorial shift for the sewer project will require a PSC approval. So I recommend that get those wheels turning too, because PSC grinds at their own pace. And if you can get something before them, I can get something approved in essence from the PSD on our end come Monday, and that you'd be in a position to go ahead and submit the request of PSC to grant those territorial changes, so that all that background work will be done and won't become a hiccup down the road.
That's good to know.
So what were you saying if you had the 40,000 now, what would that go toward?
It would go for the preliminary engineering report, which is the first step of any.
For which project? Were you just talking about one project, or you were talking about for all
There's
5
3
projects?
future projects plus what we call Whispering Pines. There's 4 projects for New Haven. It basically takes care of all of New Haven's unserved water customers.
So that's
Yeah.
160K
That's
then.
160 million. Wastewater treatment plant bypass elimination for White Oak
That definitely needs to.
is the 5th one.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that y'all understand something here. My appeal for these monies is to get these projects speeded up. That would not be true for White Oak. That's just, we were done with PR for that. We haven't been paid yet. So that would just give us our money now. If y'all want to take that into account.
Well, if you've already done the preliminary, then I'm not saying nothing bad about not doing it, but I'm just saying you've already done what we
That's
basically
right.
requested.
This won't speed that project.
It won't speed it project
Speed
up.
us up, get paid.
Right, well, I'm not really, I hate to say this, I'm not really worried about that.
Well, that's what I'm.
Because you're gonna get paid,
I understand.
you're gonna get paid in the
That's right,
project.
that's right.
Sorry to be so
We'll
blunt.
get paid eventually too.
Yeah, you get paid eventually, so I'm glad you said that, so it's 160.
But now this one, we just talked about. We need to do it the next possible meeting. To do the 40,000, we can start on it. It looks to me like it's a go with 320 customers. Now, the problem is they don't have any interest yet. I will encourage the PSD to go through the 5G process.
So is
and
this
take
a
them here right away.
That's separate.
sixth
Is it
project?
the sixth project or? the
Yeah,
fifth
that's a
project?
number
Six,
six.
but
This
let's drop
is
number
the
5
sixth.
because.
Because
PR's
we-
already done for number
Right,
5. You're
okay.
saying impact.
Yeah.
So there are 5 projects,
Yes,
including this one.
that's correct.
Yes.
And I don't think you can, that's not my, committee call it, but it's not on the agenda to do the PR for this one today, so.
Well, I mean, frankly, I feel like we can vote on and work out the logistics on the repayment or whatever
Okay,
later. I mean, what do you guys think?
Mhm.
okay.
I mean, we've committed to water projects in particular
Water, yep, sewer. we
and
got-
prioritized them.
Yeah.
And I just want to say for the record that we still are not considering any other ARPA applications until we set a date. The reason we're doing this is because the legislature is about to allocate funding on these sorts of things, and we want some information under their noses as soon as possible. That's the only reason we're considering this out of turn. I think we ought to move forward with it.
I appreciate it. I make a motion for $160,000 for pre-engineering work.
Are we
on
doing
five-
all? five?
Oh, did you just want the 200,000 then for all 5?
200.
Yeah,
Make a motion to approve $200,000 for the 5 pre-engineering projects. To pre-engineering the 5 projects. Yeah. Reports.
Second.
Oh,
Oh,
is
wait
it
there a second.
From what funding source?
from ARPA.
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
just gonna figure out whether we're gonna structure it as a repayment or whatever. We're gonna figure that out at our next meeting,
Okay.
after we hear about this grant stuff and everything else.
Now, I'm gonna
We'll
ask,
fund the reports out of that. Maybe we can fund the work out of the grants.
I'll wait till Ms. Taylor's done.
No, I am done. Go ahead.
I want to ask something for you all. If we go to legislatures, would any of y'all go down there with me to go to bat for this?
I'd love to.
Okay,
People need
all
that.
right.
When are our meetings?
Kenny will
They're
do it.
January 16th through
16th, 17th.
18th, I think.
Wait there.
16th, 17th, 18th.
Ruth has more information.
We just need invoices, like I need actual invoices to reflect that amount.
Okay, so
David, that's easy enough to acquire, isn't it?
Yeah, so.
just to,
Probably email an invoice with data.
So it,
Oh, you want to go ahead and invoice these, and get started to work yet?
So she can allocate.
so she can
Yeah,
allocate
we
the
can
funds.
write a check. Yeah, we have to have an invoice.
Yeah, we're gonna do it as a lump sum invoice, so it costs $50,000.
You have to break it down into each,
Break it down.
you
per
have to break it
project.
down into each individual,
project.
yeah, project. You
Five
can't do it
invoices.
5 invoices.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll take care of that.
and we can do it all as one check if you need it that way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just be
but there-
very specific about
just-
the work on it, on the
Yeah.
invoices.
It has to be individual invoices.
You know, it is preliminary, so there'll be, information will be what, David, like the lines, materials, number of customers, the hydraulic, all those types of
Yeah,
things.
that's actually almost a misnomer in the engine report. That's what goes to IJDC for their approval of the project. So it's actually is a big step.
What's the IJDC?
Infrastructure Jobs Development Council.
Yeah.
Okay.
They approve all the infrastructure projects in the state.
Okay.
So that's the first big step that we're trying to engine report. And we'll use the final, like we write the final design work will come later, but that'll get all the good stuff out of that. front. So-
y'all go to bat if we need you down there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you should mark the 17th and 18th of January, because we're gonna be down there for a legislative session. Well,
But when they
We'll
take it
reach
to the
out to you.
Capitol, it's, you're in a little groove. And you won't have time to break off because they may have,
Austin offered to
Different
set
meetings.
something up. I
Yeah.
bet you we can get, I
Yeah.
bet you we can get it set up.
See, the mere.
Yeah, I mean, good
fact
point,
our
but-
delegates,
Yeah.
some sort.
We can see if he'll schedule
Yeah, we
something, or
see.
even a dinner for us or something.
I think they ought to make themselves
ooh,
available. for
especially if they have a
people
lobbyist.
County.
people.
I might mention
Those
that,
lobbyists spend some
the mere
money.
fact that the
Yeah,
project
I can
has
set that up.
our local government support already will go a long way in being able to shape those funds at the state level. That's very important. You know, they want the commitment from the community, they want the commitment from local government, and they're much more susceptible to our plea when those things are in place.
Okay, all right, well, thank you, gentlemen. So,
I was doing those invoices, and maybe.
Yeah, David, just 5 individual invoices. It talks about each one of the projects individually. That way we can track it and it can be tracked by the state. So we have no issues.
okay. And coordinate however you need to, please, with Region 4.
Yeah, I'll give you a call, Les, and we'll talk about this.
Okay. Alrighty, do you guys need a break before the 10:45?
Yeah, John.
I'm fine.
I'm good. I need one.
Okay,
I need one,
okay, you do need one?
please.
Okay, yeah.
Don't mind.
All right, we're gonna take a break until 10:50.
Okay. Okay.
So, are we doing-
All right.
Okay, so. Sorry about that. I think I have napkins. Okay, so we're back in session. I've got Mr. Tissue on my cell phone. Typically, it has not been his practice as fiduciary commissioner to appear in front of the commission, but I told him that we like to have the submitting attorney present in case we have questions or Anthony has questions. Anthony's not in the room yet, Phil. And this is a recorded public meeting, but I told him I was going to go ahead and put him on speakerphone in case we had any questions about the order and the matter of Mr. Crowder. Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker now. Okay, can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay, sweet.
I can hear you anyway.
Well, I'm the only one talking right now.
Okay.
All right, did you guys have any questions about the estate documents?
No, ma'am.
No.
It's the one question I had, Bill, and I read it through, and I actually know this family. I know the 2 youngest members on that list. Has anybody contacted those individuals, or do you expect any of them to apply to be the administrator?
Well, of course, all of the, as you see on the certificate of service there about the order, they've all been apprised of hearing dates. They've been apprised of all the recommended decisions sent to them. Anybody who calls here told them today that he is being removed. One person is being removed, Thomas N. Crowder Jr. If anything further is going to happen, somebody else will have to come to the administrator, or it's not going to go anywhere. So everybody's apprised. All of the heirs are certainly apprised of the situation. They've all received already a copy of the recommended order, and I guess could have appeared even today, I guess, if they had any questions about it or whatever, but they're all notified. We haven't had any, I don't believe any letters have ever come back unclaimed or whatever, so we've got all the addresses there.
Okay, so just for my edification, what happens if nobody comes forward? Like, is there a time frame where that would have, something else would happen?
Well, I suppose at some point the sheriff could then become if nobody comes, I don't think there's any particular time limit. At some point, usually what happens is somebody notifies the sheriff, tells them to undertake become the administrator of the estate and do what they can to bring it to a conclusion. So, I can notify them and say, do you want the sheriff to do it? But it's not a job that the sheriff is really equipped to do in a normal situation, and it's a real difficult job for them to do that as well as all the other activities they're involved in. So,
do you know if
the main thing is the real estate. The real estate is owned by all of them, I think, and therefore they can pursue the partition suit or something like that if they wanted to do that. But that's up to.
That's what I was about to ask you. So was anything filed at all about the contents, that first form about the contents of the estate? Like, is there an idea? Is real estate really the only thing?
Never filed anything.
Okay, so all we know about is the real estate.
Yeah.
Is that in Deepwater?
Around in there, yeah.
Yeah, that's what, I'm guessing I know which house it is, because my best friend lived next door. All right, that's all the questions I have. Thank you. You guys have any?
No, ma'am.
All right, thanks so much, Phil.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right.
Tom,
Yeah,
those were lawyering questions.
yeah, over our head.
Well, so, Michelle, I kind of like to, I think we need to figure out if there are any if there are people paying taxes on this address or whatever, if we can figure out anything. I don't know. We can talk about this after, but I'm going to move that we approve the removal of Thomas N. Crowder Jr. as the executor of the estate of Thomas N. Crowder Sr. for failure to perform his duties. He didn't even file the initial paperwork that you file when somebody passes away. There are a number of other siblings here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 co-owners. And like I said, I went to high school with the bottom two. They're the youngest. But anyway, and at least 3 of them are still local, living here in Fayette County. So I figure something might even be worth reaching out to them and, you know, if you want to get that moved on. But
A second.
All those in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They, technically by code, I think it's 60 or 90 days, the sheriff can come in to be the administrator of any
I
estate.
figure there had to, because they don't, especially real
Back
property.
when
they
that
don't
code
like
was
real
written
property.
back in the, I mean, when it was written back.
I'd be willing to guess that somebody, one or both of the 2 who are living in Deepwater probably live in that property. So they'll want to get that squared away. All right, mayors are here. We can move on to the Upper Kanawha Valley Strategic Initiative Council for EDA grant match item, which is on number 2 on the exhibit list and has been moved to number 11. But right before we do that, since we published the agenda with Mr. David's presentation, I'd like to move that we postpone that to our meeting on January 31st. He's already been scheduled for a time at 9:30 a.m. that day.
No, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Hello, Mayor.
sorry.
Can I get a witness?
I was thinking about something just coming up here.
Oh,
That's okay. All right, so,
presentation seen before.
wow, okay. Get on the old glasses. Hey, thanks for coming up.
Commissioners, we come before you today, together as a strategic initiative council. And you have the letter, you read the letter, it's not.
Yes.
We do.
Okay.
Let's just make that up.
The strategic initiative council has applied for, or is going to apply for a $4.1 million grant from the USEDA through the Travel, Tourism, and Outdoor Recreation Program. Funding would be specifically used for an integrated walking and water trail. Plans for these projects implement the River Cities Trail Plan and the Smooth Riverfront Park. The developments proposed in our project are also consistent with the recently completed Upper Kanawha Valley Outdoor Recreation Plan. We're requesting that the Fayette County Commission contribute $200,000 to be used as match funds for our EDA grant proposal. I would like to ask that this is considered that be $250,000 because of inflation. We know when we did this, we didn't have inflation in mind, and then after we mailed the letter, we said that this was going to be more than that. So the program is EDA Travel, Tourism, and Outdoor Recreation. Our deadline to submit this is January the 31st this month. The applicant will be the Upper Kanawha Valley Strategic Initiative Council. Match requirement is 20%, which is $800,000. Total project cost is $4.1 million. Project to implement the River Cities Trail and Smith Riverfront Park design. Region 4 Planning and Development Council is our grant administrator. Through the 5G procurement process, the Upper Kanawha Valley Strategic Initiative Council has procured the Thrasher Group that has designed this for us. I'm gonna stop there. I think we want to go over the pictures that we have here and so everyone can get in their mind's eye what this plan consists of. There's a walking trail along Canal River that connects Montgomery and Smithers. It'll be bookended by two recreational assets, Montgomery Marina on one end and the Smithers Riverfront Park on the other end. Montgomery Marina currently operates as a river access point for non-motorized crafts, such as kayaks, canoes. The marina currently has a pavilion green space that community members and visitors support. And we want to install boat slips and non-motorized boat launch, install fuel pump for motorized crafts, and install public restrooms and cruise site parking. The other end, the Smithers Riverfront Park, currently operates as a city-owned undeveloped park. EDA funding at this site would be used for the following: install public restrooms, install splash pad, improve river access with the installation of accessible ramps for non-motorized crafts.
What is this splash pad? I don't know what that is.
It's a concrete pad and it has water spouts in it.
Just
Oh, okay.
kind of Carowinds.
It's kind of a wet playground.
Oh, good places.
It's kind of a wet.
Yeah, it's like a Carowinds if you walk.
It's just a big thing for kids.
Okay, so it's a, okay, all right, thank
Yeah,
you.
And we felt like that would be better in Smithers with there's more people around.
A lot of yeah.
So it just works out better.
So, thank you very much for allowing this opportunity. I'm your man of white today. So, I wanted you to see the overall of what we're looking at here and then we have the individual pictures. So here's the Montgomery Marina. Montgomery actually has in its city limits this area along Route 60. And the marina exists. It was a gift to the city of Smithers from WVU.
City of County.
I'm telling you, I'm trying.
Keep an eye on it. Gotta take one
But it needs a lot of upgrades, a lot of upgrades. For instance, there is a motorized boat launch there, but it was built too short. If you take your boat, if you take your trailer out, you're gonna drop it. Your boat and your trailer in the river. So we're looking at non-motorized. We're looking at building this out, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Then there is this trail to be developed that will go all along here. You can see the red line. Right now, it shows it stopping right here at our new City Hall Community Center, the Gateway Center, because the city of Smithers, with other grants, has now completed the trail all around to this area. This creates a 2.5 mile run or trail. I don't run, but I'm told that this is the same thing as a 5K, the distance of a 5K. Okay, and that was designed purposely. Just under this blue tag here is Long Acre Bottom. City of Smithers is working on other grants and other funding sources to acquire the Long Acre Bottom. The city also owns this area right here, which is the old Oakland Grade School. And through grants, we have demolished that, and we now just have a green space along the river. Any questions on that?
Is that, you said you've done the extension
Yes, sir.
that was part of this already, it's already been developed. Is that what that 350,000 was in your budget for the last 4 years, 3 years?
No, no, thank you for asking, but this is different. This was a different set of funding. The $350,000, let me get back to Smithers here. The $350,000, that project starts this fall, this spring. And it is for streetscape. It's the Department of Highways. The delay has, and they'll admit it, has been totally on them. The project manager left for other things, laid it on her desk, and nobody went to her desk until 3 years later, after I had called and called and called and called. So that is now back on track. They have selected the engineering firm, the architect firm. And in fact, we got our all but Pizza Hut lease easement signed as of today. And we're working on Pizza Hut now to get that easement. But
Okay.
that will start. In addition to that, the Department of Highways has selected Smithers, as it did earlier, our good friends over in Montgomery, for curb cuts on state-owned roads. And we learned through this process that both Michigan Avenue, which we call Front Street, and Canal Avenue, which we call Back Street, are both state roads. So they're going to do curb cuts starting this spring on all of those streets. So that means our urban trail will have curb cuts and be totally ADA.
What does that mean?
Curb cuts.
They grind down the side so a wheelchair
Yeah,
can get in.
at each corner, they have to make an ADA.
So people can
compliant
cross.
curb.
Yeah.
And the state is paying for all of that. Okay.
Is there a mechanism other than by water for people to cross over into Montgomery? Because you know the bridge is not a pedestrian friendly.
Correct. And that is why in everything we're proposing today and with EDA, we are not crossing the bridge. All of the improvements are on the Route 60 side of the road.
Okay, the 4.1 doesn't include the bike or walk across the bridge.
It does not
They can.
include coming across the bridge.
Okay, I was
like it,
wondering
they
why it
can
was like
walk.
4.9. And correct me if I'm wrong, the last time that I looked at all this, I think it was originally 4.9 or 4.7 or 5.7.
Yeah.
And that was included that right there. Okay,
That's correct.
okay.
Well,
We think the state, they're reconstructing the bridge now, they're gonna widen the sidewalks, which will probably take care of that for us. So we think that connector will be made by. the reconstruction.
that
I was wondering why it
construction,
says.
we think is going to take another 2 years.
Yeah.
So it would not be ready for us to include in it in an application that we're sending in at the end of this month.
Is there room to put a pedestrian? I mean, it's such a tight bridge.
They say that.
No, they say there is. Well, that'd be good news.
There- And I think it's for EPA driven, there has to be room enough for 2 wheelchairs to
Mhm.
pass each other.
Mhm.
So I think what they've done is they put some outsets along. We're gonna add some outsets for a wheelchair to get out of the way so the other one can go. So that means it's still gonna be pretty narrow, but it'll still be wider than what it is now.
Okay.
And
And
I
are
don't
you
know
guys,
where they're gonna get that width, but
I don't either. Do you guys have anything set up on the Montgomery side, like if a kayaker or paddler wanted to cross over
we have
into town?
the boat ramp, which is on the bridge here.
Mm-hmm.
That they can get out there. Now, we had, Greater Canal Valley Foundation we just finished a fishing pier there
Mm-hmm.
with,
Right here.
we just finished that fishing pier that'll be opening up later on this month. And there was a kayak launch that was, paid for by the Greater Canal Valley Foundation. However, a kayak launch below fishing hooks is not a good idea.
No.
So we've decided to move the kayak launch, and we've checked with Greater Canal Valley Foundation over to this side to be part of the match
Mm-hmm.
to what we're asking for today. So that will be $38,000 of a kayak launch that Greater Canal Valley Foundation gave us for the other pier, but they said it's okay to move it over there and use it for match for that. So
Wasn't there a
to
pier?
answer your question, the only access on the Montgomery side would be at the boat launch.
And there's currently no access in Smithers. You know, the sad thing is, we've got this beautiful asset.
Mhm.
If you live on the river, like Mayor Ingram lives on his side and I live on my side, you get to enjoy the river. You get to get out on the river. But so many people don't have.
You have to
that
cut through somebody's
access.
yard
And
like I did.
tourists don't have- The big thing is tourists don't have.
Yeah, that is a big deal because it's a cool place to, I mean, I would love to paddle down there. Wasn't there a dock at Montgomery Pool at one time at the old Montgomery
Yes.
Pool down there? And that's
where they
probably,
had boat fuel and stuff. Now, I will say this, there's future plans for the pool area, which is here,
Mhm.
to put kayak access there, but
And I think that'd be a great idea,
that's
like,
another
because then people could walk the town.
yes, that's another day, and that may be built with private money.
Okay.
We're working on a plan down there now for that whole complex, but that will be private money.
Okay, Dr. Ann, where's your park at?
Okay, on this map. I'm trying to set this up.
Oakland.
It's right here.
Okay,
So
and,
it's at the end of the urban trail.
okay, and did you get your 4 whatever million for that?
I think you're referencing what they call the congressionally directed projects funds, earmarks. That is embedded in the US congressional appropriations bill. And Congress right now is operating under its second continuing resolution. That's not to be confused with the Build Back Better bill. That's totally separate. The appropriations bill is just like you all, each year you pass a commission budget. Congress has to pass a budget, the appropriations bill. That money is embedded in that. And we're on our second continuing resolution. They have to do something by February the 13th to either pass the appropriations bill, which would include our earmark, or pass another continuing resolution. Just a little sidebar, the reason I retired, one of the big reasons I retired from USEDA, because I love my job and I love my clients and I love my two states of West Virginia and Maryland. But the final full year I was with EDA, Congress kept passing continuing resolutions until the end of June that year. Federal year goes from October 1 to September the 30th. When they finally passed the appropriations bill at the end of June, we had July, August, and September to get every penny out the door in projects or EDA would block the funding. That's a tough situation for your clients. That's a tough situation for your state. It's a tough situation for everybody. And I didn't want to go through that again, and here we are, we're going through it again. So I guess some things you just can't outrun. To answer your question, there are funds in the earmark. Will we ever see them? We don't know.
Who knows?
We honestly don't know. I wish I could answer that question more definitively, but it's up to Congress. The timing and action is up to them. I actually have an email last night that I answered this morning from the owner of the property at Longacre, because part of those funds are to purchase that property so we can develop that. And I had to tell him, you know, call your congressman, call your senators, tell them to pass the appropriations bill.
So I think, you know, it's important that to answer the question is that there's more money in that 1.5 million than there was than just for that park. Now, if that money is passed, certainly it will be pulled out of this or be used for match. I don't think we'll do federal, but it will be pulled out of this amount here, which will reduce this by about $2 million. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did.
So
this is the Marina. We currently have this little shed down here. We do not have this parking. We do have this building, which is a large garage where Tech kept their crew boats. And we have this, which is a duplex apartment building. In this plan, we plan to put the fuel here for motorized boats. The reason it's here is because there is spillage. It doesn't spill across everybody else. This would be a courtesy dock that would be out here with a for smaller boats to pull up before they go over there. This is the kayak launch site. We would launch kayaks from here. There's parking here. We'd be parking to here. There's 15 boat slips up here. That would be rental and would create income for the Board of Parks and Recreation to help upkeep all this.
Long-term rental or rental for, it's not gonna be like Summersville Lake where it has like a 30-year waiting period or anything.
Well,
I'm just asking, because that's like,
I don't know.
I hate that.
We haven't gotten there
I
yet.
feel
Once
like,
we
you
get
know.
it, then we'll say, okay, how are we gonna rent these? First come, first served, is it seasonal? But it will be a seasonal. type
Or even
thing.
a lottery. I mean, because the way they do it there is awful. I mean, just, you have families that'll have 3 and 4 slips that they're not even using.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure
Give
we'll
them
look
up.
at best practices because there'll be even with all this build out,
Mhm.
the opportunities for a slip are limited. So we're going to have to look at best practices.
Yeah.
we're gonna extend this building a little bit longer, and this is a restroom facility here. So that would make the entire marina a very useful place. Right now, we have outside toilets, and then this is the trail system here that would come up, and we have talked about taking a trail from down here up to that. I mean, that's just a little bit of trees to cut, but that would be the trail going into Smithers.
That's on the Kanawha County side, right?
That's on the Canal County side, yes.
Is that part of the 800,000 they put in? You're asking the Fayette County Commission, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
you're asking the Fayette County Commission for 250,000 for the project. And then it
That's for the
says,
Fayette County side.
okay, that says 20, you need 20% of $4 million or $800,000. Where's the other part of that money coming from?
Canal County.
Okay. I
Canal
wanted to ask
County, we're
that.
gonna ask Canal County, we just want to show you.
You're gonna ask or they've already committed?
No, we're asking.
We're going whenever.
If you remember 2 years ago, or a year ago, we asked and they were supposed to, at the last moment, he was gonna ask Kanawha County for part of this funds to match what Fayette County offered.
Right.
What was the response to that at that time?
Was not a good time.
Is that what they said? So have you
But they
went
didn't-
back to
they didn't
them?
have all
Have
this
you,
money.
have you went back to them and says, we're getting ready to go to Fayette County? and
They
ask
got
for
the same letter.
Okay. And, I mean, because we're talking 30 days, and I don't mean that, I
Yeah.
don't mean that, I'm asking, I'm asking this for a reason. We got 30, you have 30 days to put this in, you're coming to the county commission 30 days before it to be put in. You ought to know, I was gonna ask, being on board with this last time, because you were supposed to ask Kanawha County, why didn't you ask them prior to this, so we could have a letter that says, we'll commit so much if Fayette County commits so much?
Well, that's a fair question, and, you know, timing is always a bugaboo. We're coming to Fayette County first, we are on the agenda, we will be going to Kanawha County. If you ask me what date, I'm gonna fail and not be able to give you the exact date, I'll find it for you. We could not ask you all anything until we knew what the budget was going to be. I mean, we got the final budget last night.
The final last night, but we had
We had kind of the $4 million budget, but
about a week ago.
yeah, but Thrasher Engineering, we had to go through the 5D process and select them. We had to get the go-ahead from EDA. We're working with Tracy Rowan, the EDA representative. And I'm sorry about the timing, but sometimes you're just a victim of time.
Well, I know, and
That's
another
where we
thing I
are.
wanted to ask you about, since we're talking about funding and money, if you remember my last request, in order to get this money, I asked that some of the stuff to be cut out, like the asphalt and other things to make it more, more feasible, is not asking for so much money. And I think the last time that you all did that, you forego some of the stuff that you could do without, basically, to make it work. And also in the conversation, I've mentioned that, if it's not approved, maybe you could do it in a 2 or 3 year step period instead of going after it all at once. So it makes it, to me, it would make it more feasible to get funding, and it's less money, and it's a step process of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I don't see that in this one. So I mean, I just have to throw that out there too, because we talked about that as well.
On, if I could, on the 60 side of the river, we have done a lot of cutting. And this round, we have not included the Montgomery side, not that they aren't important, but because of the bridge and the bridge construction, the EDA representative said it would be better if we stayed on Route 65. When you see when you see this, we have the budget that we're working with now with EDA does not include all of this. It's a straight run out here to a courtesy dock and an ADA compliant kayak launch. We don't have the picnic area. We don't have a lot of this done in this plan. The city of Smithers is going to take on a lot of that work under two scenarios. The first one is if the earmark comes, we'll be able to do the rest of the work. The other scenario is, as you say, we can do it over time as we have money to get it done. So that's in a nutshell what we very much would like your help to do. We understand the timeline, we're a victim of it, and we apologize for that. We think that we have cut things back to the point where it is now a little over $4 million project. Honestly, if you look at everything we need, not one, that we need to do on this side and the mayor needs to do on his side, we're kicking up around $12 million. So we're coming to you and asking, help us get this started. You know what happens once something gets started, other people want to invest in it, other people see the potential.
Any question?
Yeah, and answer my question. I still, and I'm not trying to.
This is a segment of a bigger
I
plan.
know, but I go back to that thing that the minute it was not approved, and I remember this, not approved, I would have been on the ball asking Kanawha County and Fayette County at the time if they would allocate some money for the project, if both would commit to a certain amount, because I like the project. I pushed the last time, but you may be coming and asking at the wrong time, especially, I mean, seriously.
We've heard that before.
But we did commit the last time because to me, I would have, I'm not trying to beat you up or anything. I'd have had a letter from Kanawha County saying they're going to commit this much money. I know that y'all committed this much. They didn't commit anything last time. Here's what you're willing to do if Fayette County does it, and come to us with that. And also cutting some of the other parts out. And you heard us talking about the trail today. We don't even know how much it's going to cost us. I mean, in the end, we have no idea. It may be more than what it's supposed to be, and then we're going to have to come up with some money for that. But that's, that's all I got to say. I don't know the other
And we
commissioners.
allocated that money years ago.
If
5
I
years
could
ago.
say, I am so very sorry that in the past, we didn't do things on a script that you could look back on favorably. But we learned. I mean, he wasn't mayor before he was mayor, and I wasn't mayor before I was mayor. We're learning. And we didn't know we were going to have a national park. And, when he became mayor, he didn't know the impact of the things that economically was going to hit us. So, I would ask if you would look at now and the future and help us rebuild a devastated economy and devastated communities. That's what we work 24 hours a day doing. I think we can make a great start if we have your help.
I have just a couple of other questions, or one's a comment, but is there a place or have you, because I always thought the thing I love about river, areas where you can boat along rivers is if there's like a little food truck or something you could pull up to and get some food. Like, are you going to have a place that's equipped where food trucks might be able to access? Oh, there it is.
Right there.
Okay.
And we already have Chick-fil-A comes up on Thursdays. Right now, they're sitting.
Note to selves, we don't have to go to Valley.
Right now, they have to set up alongside Route 60. I won't say it's the safest place for them. So this is going to be better. This is going to be safer.
And I'm gonna put you on the spot, Greg, but
Ten out.
with regard between this and the Bisey Center, if we only had so much funding, like what would your wishes be?
Both of them.
I know.
Good answer.
And I wish.
I knew that
wish-
was coming
I wish we could
before
give
it was even.
you- I wish we could give you both. I mean, but as Mayor Montgomery, you know, and not that, you know, that's gonna influence, because I know that yours is this.
They're both important. They're both very important. I can't pick one of them. I think anything, this is how I feel about it.
Which would be a better draw or a bigger draw for your community financially?
The Aquatic Center.
Well, that.
Probably the aquatic center, but we also have income. I always look at things as how can we make future income off of things? That's just how I'm. So the boat slips is income, fuel's income, the Bisey Center with the aquatic center is income.
And if I could add, people coming to the trails, people coming to these amenities, they're going to spend while they're there. That's tremendous income, because as you know, cities operate primarily in their taxes.
Right. Well, having places for them to spend is important, I think, too.
I
So let
think
me ask you another
to
thing.
categorize your question or to put some kind of form to it. The Bisey Center would be an aquatic center. The Bisey Center would support the Challenge Academy. The Bisey Center would hopefully be an emergency center. There is none in the valley right now. I mean, we could use our city halls, but it's not set up for that. So what, I guess would ask you the same question. What's more important to the public? They're both important. I mean, they're equally important.
I agree, and I think it's hard. Let me ask you a different question, then it's probably easier to answer. If you were able to get private funding, like where do you think more outside the county commission, more funding opportunities would be available? Which project, for this one or the Bisey Center?
And this is where we disagree, because we've got EDA already promoting this project. We don't have EDA on board to the Bisey Center.
But that's what he said.
Oh, private.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies.
And I think there's probably, and again, you get in Bisey Center, you're gonna have to pay an entry fee.
You talking about partnering with Mountaineer Challenge on that?
Yes.
Are they going to be using it for free, or are they going to be using it
No,
for?
they're gonna pay $50,000 a year.
Okay, yeah. That's all I was
They're
thinking.
into the commitment for
Very good
$50,000
opportunity.
plus all the janitorial services, cadets can run. That's
Heck, yeah.
that type of stuff. So we're working with them, we're working with the, trying to get it designated. Diver training center.
Can you mention what's going on the first floor?
The Economical trail system is probably going to take most of the first floor for welcome center at the Bisey Center. They're down there mapping now, which you're all probably aware of that. And they're doing phase 1, which is there. Phase 2 is bringing the trails on the field. That's how I understand it. I'm going to answer that question. Anything I work on equally.
And I realize how
don't
much
think
time you put
I can prioritize one over the other. It's a fair question.
Well, because otherwise you're asking us to, and so possibly. So I just wanted to hear what you had to say and what your idea, whether you had ideas for funding sources and that sort of thing. So we can try to find a way to get at both of them if we can't.
We are working on several other funding sources.
And I have a note that Allison Smith would like to speak to this. Can you let her?
I've unmuted her.
Unmute her. Allison?
Hi, good morning. Can you all hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, yeah, my name is Allison Smith and I'm an extension agent with West Virginia State University. And I also work in partnership with the Upper Kanawha Valley Strategic Initiatives Council. And I just kind of wanted to throw my 2 cents into the mix here. And we really have a melting pot of opportunities right now in the Valley between BICE, between this EDA application, the Hatfield and McCoy trails that were mentioned. West Virginia Land Trust also purchased the Mammoth Preserve. And so there's just so much going on right now. But with EDA, with this EDA ARPA opportunity, specifically talking about travel, tourism, and outdoor recreation, EDA is not going to fund facilities. So we cannot go to EDA with BICE asks specifically, but with this EDA project that we're requesting match for, with the 2 bookended river access points and the River Cities walking trail, I think we really have an opportunity to improve quality of place in Montgomery and Smithers. And within the last 24 hours, even, there was that news article that came out that in-migration is increasing in West Virginia for the first time in so long. And it made me think back to the governor's tourism conference earlier in the year, or back in 2021 now. Chelsea Ruby shared some information and statistics about how more and more Americans are traveling, even moving to smaller rural communities. And I think it all goes back to quality of place and opportunities to enjoy the outdoors. And so with this EDA ARPA funding, this is unprecedented. This is an opportunity that was born out of the pandemic. And so having your support for this project would just have such an impact and would really contribute to that positive trend in migration that we're seeing in the area.
All right.
So what if Kanawha County says no on $550,000?
We will probably have to walk away from it. But Tom, to answer your question, you're asking me which comes first, the chicken or the egg, Fayette County or Kanawha?
Well, no, what I'm saying, Fayette
We
County
gotta
stepped
start
up. Well, no, the only thing I'm saying is Fayette County stepped up,
Yes, they did.
the commission stepped up,
Yes, they did.
and I can't remember, $200,000 or $250,000. I can't remember what it was. You went to Kanawha County, and I really thought they would, to be honest with you, something. And to me, bringing that back to the commission, saying, listen, they did, you did last time, you know, and something, do we still have time or not?
No, we're really out of time.
We're over.
Okay,
Yeah.
One thing to that, I promise I'll make it really quick. Mind this time, Kanawha County spent the money to develop the Upper Kanawha Valley Outdoor Recreation Plan. Everything we're talking about here is in that plan. They have more motivation now to make their own plan come through.
And that goes all the way to big decision. I understand.
They also received $64 million and we only got 8.
well, altogether about $100 million with the city,
Oh, yeah.
with the municipalities, about $100 million altogether.
Oh, they've been throwing that stuff right and
Yeah.
left. They've been
Yeah.
surprised they
Okay.
haven't thrown it out the
Thank
commission
you. I
window.
appreciate your time and
Yeah.
consideration. All right.
We will, when do you guys meet with them? Do you remember? Is it in the next couple weeks? or-
Allison.
Allison, do you remember the Kanawha County date?
I'm unmuting her.
She's unmuting you, Allison.
So it would be January 20th. So we're working with a really tight timeline and we're really sorry about that. And again, it goes back to, we went through the formal 5G procurement process. We needed to spend time coming up with a budget in tandem with Thrasher Engineering. And so we are moving as quickly as we can. And we want you to know we reached out to both county commissions consecutively, right? One after the other. But that date is January 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say January 26th?
20th.
20th? Okay. What I was just suggesting to my colleagues was that we set a tentative special meeting date for right after that. We can even do it by Zoom unless we decide we want to add stuff. I think we'll do our infrastructure meeting before
Tom,
that.
don't tell Tom
We
that.
always add things.
No,
Don't-
you are
I
not.
don't think it's a we.
Don't tell Tom to add
Wait a minute,
things.
let me look at the dates.
It's a Friday.
We've got something next week. No, it's a Thursday.
It-
Oh, the 20th is a Thursday.
20th.
Yeah, so we could meet on that Friday.
We meet on Friday.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Friday, the
Is
25th.
there precedent to suggest that the president of the Fayette County Commission and president of the Renewal County Commission talk to one another about this project? The timeline here is, it is the chicken and egg. If you all don't meet until after they meet and they say, well, what has Fayette County done?
Well, here's what we need to do. I mean, we can do that, but he couldn't speak for the other commissioners. That's a thing. You know, might know whether there's funding available. The main thing for us is like, we didn't get the dollar amount till yesterday. And then Greg upped it by 50,000 just now. So what we need to do is to give our county administrator time to look at the budget, to see if the money's there, where it would come from, and that sort of thing. So we need that information, but you know, there's no point in us voting to allocate it unless they vote to allocate it. So I think our minds will be made up. You know, I feel like if we have the money, I mean, I would support it if we have the money. I just want to, you know and want to make sure that Kanawha County is invested too. But I don't, do you see that as holding you up if we set it for,
One
you
day.
know, one day later?
No, I don't see that as holding this up. I see that going back to the commissioner's statement of chicken and the egg, and we get back for chicken and egg kind of discussion between the two counties.
We really need to figure out where the funding can come from, because right now the ARPA funds are so strictly limited that, you know, we feel like we would have to draw it from somewhere else, and we just don't know where that would be. Like, we're in the middle. Our county administrator has to give us every 6 months, she does a report. So she's working on December's right now. We should have it before long, but probably by then. But we have to see if we have any money. I mean, that's really what comes down to. I mean, I'm open to it if we have the money, but we also have to discuss what's not going to happen if we only have $250,000 and we give it all to this project. Like, who's not going to get something they've asked for, or, you know, the raises and all that stuff. So we just need time to consider where we will get the funding.
I got two more real quick. Would you be considered cutting the Smithers part out that may already be funding in the project? You said it would cut out about $2 million. Would you be considered cutting that out because it could possibly be funded?
The monies in the earmark are different than the monies in the EDA.
Well, I just thought I heard that if that was funded, it would cut the project in half to $2 million.
Well, it would depend on what they agree.
Well, okay, well, I'm just asking a question. If something for you to think about, you know, may be wrong, may be right. If there's a part of that that is possibly be funded by EDA or whatever it is, or whoever it is, that you cut that out and come back with this amount to Kanawha County and us as a second option. Say, this is how much less we would need to do this, because this could possibly be funded. And the other thing, what are y'all doing with your art money?
With the ARPA money.
Yeah.
We have asked, and we didn't read the FAQs, as I heard somebody else say earlier. We have asked if we could trade that money out for general revenue funds, so that we can do other things in the community that we desperately need to do, and we don't have general funds currently to do. To answer your first question, and I'll ask Mayor Ingram to verify I'm telling the truth. And Allison, on several occasions in our meetings, I have said that if there are other funds that Smithers gets by grant or private donation, that we can pull any part of our section of the EDA grant out and fund it separately and leave more money for Montgomery
Well, the only thing I'm saying that-
Everybody, but I'm willing to do that.
Well, the only thing I was saying, it's already been submitted and it's there, and I don't think they're gonna look at this as, anyway, okay.
I think we've got,
Yeah, that's okay. And
They'll sit up in
we-
Philadelphia and they'll say, well, we won't do this, but we'll do this. We won't do the whole, but we'll do this part.
basically what we're doing. The other thing is, if the county would come up with some, a percentage of ARPA money for broadband fiber, would Smithers and Montgomery considered putting that percentage into a pot to bring fiber to Montgomery and Smithers and the people of Fayette County?
I think I can
well,
generally say
yeah,
yes, but I don't know what the
you gave your presentation for it, but we're trying to set up a meeting and I haven't confirmed with Raleigh County Commission, but for 4 county commissions to discuss broadband at the Boy Scout camp. And we want to talk about getting a regional proposal together, and that way we can maybe have a good shot at getting some of this money that's come down from the feds. And we are inviting the municipalities to that. Right now, the tentative date is January 11th at 1 o'clock. I don't have the facility at Boy Scouts. We're going to probably try for the Hazelton Welcome Center because it's right off of 19 with no security issues to get in and out. I know you have that. I'm just trying to get.
No,
But-
I'm just
but
gonna
we're-
say that
We're going
that
to Zoom it.
building is, I think, locked down right now because it wasn't part of the Boy Scouts.
Well, they still have access to it because he offered it. That
Oh,
was
do
one-
they?
Yeah, that's one of the
Oh.
ones he offered. But, well, we're looking at Raleigh, Summers, Nicholas and us. So, anyway, but I just wanted to give you that date and I'll definitely reach out to you again and Mayor Primore is on the phone and the other mayors once we have it set, because we'll probably have multiple meetings, but that's going to be the first one where we have some ISPs present so everybody can understand the implications of what we're thinking about. We have a county map that we didn't have before. Commissioner Luis has had it blown up, and it's pretty interesting how we might, there are clever ways that we can apply this money and get fiber places where it otherwise wouldn't be. And then that will help connect your smaller communities to you. And even if, like in your case, where you've already been talking about broadband in Montgomery, we can get things snuck right up to Montgomery, like.
And I have asked North for $9,000 for a study. We've already got estimates for what's on the project. So that's another.
Okay,
So
all
we
right.
do support broadband because we think that's the future of economic growth. Because there's going to be more working from small communities.
Well, and that's, and what we're gonna do is, we don't have numbers yet, but we were gonna go to municipalities and ask for a percentage based on what you were allocated to ARPA. And we were gonna put in, you know, a much larger number and try to get the comprehensive package together, but. Did you get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we've got to move on. We're so far behind right now.
Thank you all.
But thank you for coming up and for the presentation. And we're setting a meeting on the 21st, right? Special meeting.
Yeah.
We do it at 9 a.m.
Yes.
What?
And if you guys want to attend by Zoom, that's fine. I'll probably go quickly. We'll put you on first thing. In case we add more stuff.
You know about what time that will start?
9 a.m.
9.
9 a.m. But you can zoom in if you want to, because that part will be quick. I don't know if we'll add anything else that day.
Might ask Callahan if he has to go anywhere.
Is he
Because
here?
he's on it,
Where is
supposed to be on at 11:30. He's on Zoom.
he? Is he on Zoom?
Yeah.
Mike Callahan.
Yeah, he won't be here in person. So
Did
we'll
it-
have to,
We have to go into,
yeah, she's asking when he wants us to call him. So.
okay,
But we also can do polling place.
let's knock that out. real quick.
We don't have to do it for it.
You can do it when you come back.
Yeah, we can do it when we come back. But,
Okay.
I mean, it's basically the Prince
Mhm.
precinct. There's nothing in 73, nothing in 70. It's gonna have to be in 72. And it's.
And we have a
Chestnut
location
Lawn.
identified as 72.
Yeah, Chestnut Lawn. That will be for 70 and 73. This is Prince. This is 70. This
Thank you,
is
guys.
73.
Safe
This
travels
is the one that
back.
was 6 miles and the other one, Meadow Bridge. was 6 miles.
Where did you find the, where did you find the horse?
Chestnut Knob, it's right here. I mean, it's like right here.
Is it in precinct 73?
Yeah, that's the closest.
But we basically scoured 73 and 70 and we're not able to find any suitable.
Yeah, we found one church and they said no, the other church has been closed since COVID started. So
Okay. What about the train station?
they said no, the post office said no, and the park service, when I talked to them, doesn't have a building. They have a building, but it's storage.
We've got this documented so that.
I'll put, yeah, I started, I'm not giving you my scribbles, but I'll put it on the spreadsheet.
Let's put it in the order. Because these locations, blah, 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 put the detail. I mean.
I like that. I like that. Yeah,
As there's no
absolutely.
suitable area in this precinct nor in the adjacent.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
So we can-
basically, if you guys recall the issue, we can't comply with the West Virginia code. The West Virginia code says if you can't find a polling place in a precinct, you can go to an adjacent precinct. Well, there's no suitable polling place in the adjacent precinct. So we're essentially going 2 precincts away, which.
And I don't feel like you can.
Here's my recommendation.
No, I don't think we can go.
My recommendation is that we vote now about, the issue. And that once Anthony approves the order, I think you guys should get the information to him and let him, review it, make changes. Once he makes his changes and reviews it, I'm fine if they stand for us. I mean, how do you guys feel? You good on that?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, so, motion,
I make a motion to. Where's my paper? John, we'll make the motion.
well, tell them what the polling.
Tell me.
70.
I make a motion to approve Chestnut Knob
As a polling
As-
location for precinct 73.
as a polling location for precinct 73.
And what is Chestnut Knob?
It's a church.
Okay, located in precinct.
70.
It's in 72.
Second.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, do you have the information from Mike?
I have a cell phone.
We have
number.
it, he has not written back to me. so
Well,
he doesn't
he's
know.
on the line there, isn't he?
I'm muting. I just don't think he wants to give his number out
No, he probably doesn't, but
for the executive.
let's see if there's anything he wants to tell us on the record, and then we can,
He may not be.
I mean, it may
Yeah, I
not
think he
be
is.
privileged. Oh, it is? Yeah,
He's right up there.
Oh,
Yeah, right
okay.
there.
with the suit.
The 11:30 agenda.
Y'all can't even see him without my glasses.
I was looking.
I just like
You
to
still
ask
got
him to
it.
check.
Okay. You still
I
got
can
it.
address it
There
if
he
you
is.
want me to, public.
Well, is it privileged? Is it something you want us to hear in chambers or in executive session or?
There are 2 issues in front of the commission. And first, I apologize. I have been exposed to COVID. My wife tested positive and I'm waiting on my results. So I'm likely to be positive also. And I did not want to come down there. And this is very difficult trying to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish with you for the second piece. The first piece is very easy. I sent a proposed resolution and a proposed retainer agreement to add one more attorney to the roster of people in the federal court case. It is the same resolution that the commission has approved at least 3 times, and it's the same retainer agreement the commission has approved at least 3 times. And just to kind of give you an idea here, all of the retainer agreements stem off of my retainer agreement. So mine is the one that controls everything. Everybody else is just basically attached to my retainer agreement. So it changes absolutely nothing with respect to, what we've done for the last 4 years. It just adds an additional attorney. And I will advise the commission that we're involved in the federal court case, and the commission has seen, pleadings and whatnot. It involves roughly 45 insurance carriers and approximately 6 or so responsible parties. So the case has gotten pretty wieldy, and basically I need some horses to help me manage that because I'm fighting about 120 or so lawyers is my current guess. So that's what can be public. And then I need to talk strategy with the commission at some stage. If you want to do that today, we can. I heard you talk about a potential special meeting, but I can give you some details on where we are publicly without a problem. But anyway, if you could address maybe the first issue and we can move on from there.
You guys have any problem with him bringing on additional counsel?
Have no
John,
problem.
do you?
No.
Under, and just to cut to the chase, it's not gonna cost the county anything. The way the agreement is written, Mike brings the attorney on, and that attorney is paid out of his cut under his original fee agreement. So there's no reason for the county commission to say no.
Right.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item 2.
Let's see what-
Yeah, and I think he said he could wait till,
So Mike, we're gonna move that other issue to when we set this meeting for next week.
Yeah, and can I get the date of that? And let me tell you a few things that can be public.
But it's not on the agenda. That's what we're wrestling with here. Is he muted?
I don't know.
I think he disappeared. Okay.
He said, I think he asked me today.
Yeah, we don't have that one yet unless we want to just put him on the 20th.
That doesn't matter.
Might as well do that.
It would be the 21st.
21st, yeah.
It
Oh, yeah.
doesn't matter one way or the other.
I say do it on the 21st because we don't have the other ones. So,
I mean,
yeah. I want to keep.
As long as it's not time sensitive.
Yeah. Is he,
He's not muted.
Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. It faded just a second. My apologies.
It's okay. Well, we're all sorry to hear that you may have COVID and that your wife has COVID. I think we're going to have to put the other item on the agenda for the 21st. We have a special meeting, starts at 9 a.m. So the agenda item will probably be at 9:15. That work for you?
Yeah, that works. And just so I can tell you what we need to talk about, and again, it's fine for this part to be public. Judge Johnston, the federal judge overseeing the case, he had a meeting with all of the parties. And again, you can imagine with 75 to 100 lawyers, it was a little bit difficult. And again, this is all public record, what I'm telling you. He got a little frustrated with the case and said, you know, this is a case that needs resolved and settled, at least some of it with respect to all these insurance carriers. So Judge Johnston said he personally was going to get involved in setting all the parties down and trying to reach some mediated settlement with some of the parties, probably not all, but some of them. And so that's what I want to brief you about, is the potential for settlement for various parties in the case. And secondly, I will tell you, and again, the public information side, he is involved in an out-of-state trial, and he's trying to set up this mediation for the week of February 28th or the next week in March. So those are the issues that are subject to attorney-client privilege that we need to discuss.
Okay, great. Are you available on the 21st at 9:15?
Let me just double check, but I believe I am, and I will make myself available unless the judge has me in court.
And if you're sick, you can still stay up there and just call in.
Well, hopefully by then. What date are you talking about? The 21st?
21st at 9:15.
Yes, I'll be there. And I will tell the commission, I will take a COVID test prior to coming down. And if I'm not clean, I won't come. How's that?
Sounds like a deal.
75 lawyers. Golly, can you imagine 75 talk? Yeah, it is a nightmare. I've dealt with, yeah. It's a nightmare. 75
For the
talking.
record,
like-
we have not talked very much today, other than necessary.
No, we've been
Get
rolling,
broke
so let's
in.
keep it
No
going.
Okay.
staying.
Right. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank y'all. Appreciate the help.
All right. So moving on. Okay. What, you need a break?
please.
Commissioner, okay, let's take a 5-minute break, 7-minute break. We'll start back at noon.
You can't answer that.
I don't think we need your help. Do we need him on the employee matter from the exhibit that we're? I don't think we do.
It's just, I don't think so.
If we do, we'll text you or call you or something. We'll forestall any, I don't think we're gonna make a decision.
I get to spend the next 3 days interviewing child victims of sex offense cases.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, as soon as, yeah, that just answered your question.
All right, so we are here as Fayette Trail Coalition, and we thank you for your time and wanted to follow up on a meeting almost a year ago and just kind of tell us a little bit about the process and the progress that we have made. And I know you all know who I am, but I'd like to introduce Greg Urbanski, one of our other board members. He's gonna go through some of the details.
Good morning, members of the commission. Probably the closest public presentation I've ever given, but it'll be perfect. We're, like you said, we're here representing FTC, and the last time we came was to report on our progress on the soft surface trail plan. You guys have some of you in front of you, and what we're here to do today is to share the final product, the finished plan. So discuss the next actions that we have, especially focusing on our relationship with you guys, and to answer any questions that you might have about the plan. So before we proceed, I just wanted to reiterate our mission. The Fayette Trail Coalition, we're all about trails. We're about soft surface trails here in Fayette County, and especially we're advocating on behalf of the people that live here, as well as the people that are coming to visit our area for the recreation. And we believe in taking care of and working and advocating for these trails for their whole life cycle. So maintenance on trails that already exist, advocating for new trail projects, and educating and improving the access to the trails for people from out of town and people that are here. So that's our goal, that's our mission. And this trail plan represents what you're looking at. The trail plan you're looking at represents our strategic vision. It's an idea of what we would like to see happen in Fayette County as an organization. It's a blueprint that we're going forwards with, and we created it so we had a roadmap going forward to achieve what we wanted to as far as new trail creation. And we're ahead of schedule. Certain things pushed the final copy of this trail plan and accelerated us getting it into your hands. And part of that is there's a budget item on the federal budget that is to be voted on. We'll see what Congress does. But that has the potential to accelerate this by making funding possible for 2 of these 4 properties that we'd like to have projects on. In a perfect world, if we could make these trails happen. So I don't necessarily today want to drag you through the entire report. You guys have it. We're more than happy to answer any questions at any time on it. And but what I wanted to focus on is what involves our relationship next, and specifically the project that will interface with you guys the most, the Fayette County Park. So as far as the Fayette County Park, we have
Stand by just 1 second. Is Wayne on the call? I want to make sure the park director is on the
Yeah,
call, so we can hear what he
and
has to
just so
say.
you know, I mean, we have great partnerships with Wayne. We've had a ton of meetings with him. Bill Hannibal has been amazing to work with the Renewal project.
And not just because he's here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Dietrich has been phenomenal. But we have had lots of interactions with the different property managers. So I'm hopeful that Wayne's available, but I know with his schedule changing because of Christmas lights and stuff like that. I don't know.
I just asked Amy to try to reach him and Diane Collison since she was in here for the Parks Board. So I just want to make sure if they can tune in, that they.
Yeah, and we've presented to the Park Board and they're on board with it. And Diane has done some amazing different surveys of what the participants of this county want, and trails are one of their top. I think it was like 43% of respondents wanted to see more trails.
Okay, I have just a general question. Is there any reason, or is this the number in which you guys are going to start on doing this. Town Park Federal will be the first one, Needles Eye second, Fayette County Parks the third, and Wolf Creek fourth.
That's just how they put it in the narrative. That doesn't mean that's exactly how it is. But to Greg's point, there is potential funding through an earmark through the federal government, and it had to tie to national park property. So that's why Town of Fayetteville and Needles Eye were potentially
Candidates for this
yes.
funding.
Mhm.
And to also answer your question, perhaps the best reason or logic behind that ordering is a matter of scope. So the Fayette Town Park project is a small, it's kind of a skills park and a tiny trail loop. The Needles Eye trails are slightly more extensive. And then the county park trails are a large trail project in a place that has no mountain bike trails. And then the final project, the Wolf Creek Park, is an expansion on a big existing mountain bike trail project. So it is partially in order of what we would like as our strategic vision, make a place where people can practice skills in isolation, add trails to an area that ties into the park, add a massive number of trails to an area that has none, and then expand something that already exists. So there was a mild ordering to it, but this was just a vision, and it all is dependent upon where we didn't know this earmark existed when we began this process. It's all dependent upon where we would get the funding. We were just creating a roadmap for this is what we'd like to do, and now we've got to begin I like this analogy, the tactical level assessment of like figuring out how do we actually fund this? How do we actually plan the projects? These are just all the things that we'd like to do. And for example, now with the county park, we've got to figure out how are we going to generate the funding to make this happen? How do we get the approval to make these trails happen? This is just what we as an organization would like to see. I don't know if that answers your question.
I have a couple of quick, sorry, go ahead, Brian.
When we were at 4-H camp, Tom, was it 2 years ago? We talked about the bike trail out
Year or
there.
two ago.
Yeah, and it was mentioned that it has the correct amount of space in order to have a junior circuit coming in there and have them do some racing.
Yes, that is the NICA organization, which I also am a coach of. So that is a national organization that West Virginia does have a league. So that's a fall race series, and there are a lot of criteria that we would have to go through. That is in the trail plan. That is something that we are hopeful to have. And I think that's one of the benefits of Fayette County Park is all the amenities that are there. It's a true recreation center with disc golf, the pool, and by adding trails, yeah, it just creates more of a reason to go down there. Plus, this trail plan gets it off of the plateau a little bit. The Fayette County Park is, a gateway down to the valley. We're expanding that overcrowding and overuse that right now the national park trails are starting to see. So we want to spread the infrastructure out.
Yeah, and purely from a bike riding point of view, it has unique features. It's got a ridge with wonderful views that's kind of not found on the heart of the plateau itself.
Okay, and I understand Needles Eye and Fayette County Park because of their ties to the national park.
Yeah.
Especially Needles Eye. I mean, it's right there. But no, that was the only question I had if it was going to go.
Yes, that's still the plan. And just know there's a whole, NICA has a whole criteria and like a vetting process. So they have 5 races a year. And if they moved it to Fayetteville, which a lot of their members have encouraged and requested, they would have to potentially bump another race course off. So.
I just wanted to acknowledge that Diane is behind you now. She's the head of Parks Board, and I just wanted to make sure you heard this presentation because there's a part that involves the park. So, and if you could get her a copy of what you gave us, at least with regard to the Fayette County Park, that would be awesome.
Yep, and I will say we just finalized this mid-December. And the park board
you can zoom in if you don't want to sit down here. I just wanted to make sure you heard what they had.
I was
to
on
say.
another Zoom meeting, so I was like, I'll just run down.
Oh, okay.
So this wasn't finalized when the park board has had meetings. We haven't had a chance to present this whole plan to them, but they are aware of all the different parts. Yes.
Okay, well, she now has a park board.
I know.
So there's good news.
Yes.
So I have just a couple quickies. One is Town of Fayetteville contributing at all to Fayetteville Town Park.
So to clarify, all of our partners contributed to this plan. So Town of Fayetteville, City of Oak Hill,
Fayette County Plateau Action Network, New River Bikes, and the Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative. So Fayetteville, if the earmark is successful, and this is also true for Oak Hill, that will not be a matching requirement. So they will be contributing perhaps in kind. So as of right now, if that is big capital IF, if the earmark goes through, there is not a financial ask of them.
And has there been any, so you just named the partners. Have you guys considered reaching out to the Valley and other parts of the county to?
They will, but this is the first plan that we've done. So this is step one. Beyond, once we get this funded, we have plenty of ideas of other places within Fayette County that we want to expand to.
I just mean as with regard to getting their participation and getting them started on identifying, because they've got some ideas already. They've done a lot of work.
The River Cities update or trail they've got Mammoth property, that's certainly something that we've talked with, but not in detail like these projects.
Okay, well, those are my big, oh, and Wolf Creek Park was the other one. I would just exercise caution on that one because, and wouldn't prioritize it at this time because we're trying to sell that property. And I'll tell you, it's my belief, and the others can say what theirs is, but it's my belief that we should allow whoever buys it to develop the trail, design the trail, attach it throughout the property the way they want to. Because I think that'll make it more attractive for sale.
Yep, you can see that one has the longest arrow.
Oh yeah, I haven't gotten
Yep,
past.
that one has the longest arrow for those reasons.
Okay.
We were creating a vision of what we'd like to see, not what we expect to happen. And like with that input, and we've talked to Tom briefly regarding that, very briefly, the other day on the Zoom call. I have these other folks that have more conversations, but that's why our focus is truly on the county. So, especially with funding potentially in the wings for the other two projects.
Okay. So if you need to go back to your call,
well,
or if you can stay down here, that's fine, but you have a copy to look at.
I told them the commissioners were asking for me, so I made myself.
That was it. You know, go back and do what you've got to do. I just wanted to make sure you knew what the plan was. So why don't you guys just work with Diane to present it at their next meeting or whenever she's ready for you.
If that's not too soon, we meet next week. So. As a memorial.
You got time?
4:30. I can send you the agenda.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Nice to meet you.
Okay, and you guys know that there's been some discussion about joining you guys in a lawsuit about the trail building out there on Rick Johnson's property.
We are aware, but
Okay.
that was, Fayette Trail Coalition is not named in that. That was some other. trail
Well, they're trying to
organizations.
enjoin you, which means they're trying to get you added, just like they named us, but I think that's still under discussion. I don't know what the rest, I just wanted to
Yeah,
let you
I
know. So
appreciate
that's
that.
another reason to, just kind of stand down and wait and see what happens with Wolf Creek.
For sure, and I think we will have our hands busy, or full with Fayetteville, Oak Hill, and Dayton.
If you indeed are served and are named in that, please make sure you let us know in case we haven't heard.
I most definitely will.
So Commissioner, I'm sure you have
I really have a question for Jenna.
Okay,
I've got all the questions out, I think, in the past.
and I'll take a look at this. We just got it this
Jenna Grayson?
Either one of Jenna, Gina,
Are they
Jenna,
both- are they
Jay,
both on?
Jenna.
Jenna Grace.
I just saw Jenna Grayson. I haven't seen Jenna.
I'm here.
Okay, I think I mentioned it to Jenna a while back or text her. The earmark for trails into the park is, is 1.5, the earmark's $1.5 million is what my
Right.
understanding is. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Andy Davis, I saw is also. on.
Andy Davis is also on.
Okay.
He's been part of some of these conversations.
Okay. And supposedly the earmark is supposed to be just for development within that goes into the national park, correct?
Yeah, so hey, it's Jenna Belcher. Tom, I'm happy to send you over the earmark proposal with the budget. We added in the trailhead that's not mentioned on this FTC proposal to make up the difference that's left. So there is a Needle's Eye trailhead that will be implemented, and that was a project that has been submitted to AML a few times by the city of Oak Hill. And so I can send you over the budget so that you can see how it all adds up.
Okay, well, I was looking at the numbers and the numbers didn't match.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention to the commission that there's another municipality I was gonna recommend, because I think they could be brought, the trail could be very easily brought into the national park. And so I wish I'd known that before I asked, but that's okay.
No, that's actually, so we need to be thinking about the next round of these earmarks. And we know that Manchin's office is very interested in the connectivity of trails to the park. So if there is a next application that we can put in for a trail, we need to start planning that now.
Okay, well, I'm sure okay, all right. I was just curious, the numbers didn't match compared to the earmark, and I wanted to see where the other funding was going to go, or if the commission can maybe potentially direct it a certain way. Is the reason.
Yeah, let me send you all the budget so you can see, because we did go ahead and add in that trailhead for Needle's Eye that had been not gotten funded by an AML grant.
Okay.
But if you have other connector trails, let's go ahead and start figuring out how to plan those so we can ask for an earmark for them.
Mount Hope. Yeah, I've already mapped it. Mount Hope could go. But anyway, okay.
So really, we wanted to introduce this plan since you guys were a financial contributor to it, and we appreciate that. And also to discuss next steps and see what questions you had and gain some support for Fayette County Park. Because now that this is complete, we will start looking at funding options. And a lot of those funding options come with match requirements. So though no decisions need to be made today, we just wanted to inform you of that and that you may see us again in the next few months.
Yeah, we wanted to share with you the final product of what you contributed to, and in addition to like letting you know the next two steps, the action items that we've got are finding funding, and we're looking into grants, we're looking into numbers, the potential for match, and none of that's important. Not to reiterate what Ash just said. And the other part is we wanted to understand from you guys what needs to happen other than, integrating with the park board and working with the park and working with you guys to happen for a project like this to be approved for Fayette County Park. What we have to do next to get the commission's approval, and we'll work with the park board to get their approval to make this project happen.
Is this one of those things where we're gonna need a pre-engineering or preliminary engineering?
I think all
study?
that's done.
Is that done?
Technically, that's
What
in
this
a
is?
form what this is. So there's further GIS data and stuff to back this up. This is a presentation of the work that's been done. The trails have been mapped out, the costs have been estimated.
Oh,
There's,
it's up.
So then the next steps would be any permitting that you look into any permitting that needs to happen, and then construction documents. So we would put out RFPs, RFQs for different construction trail firms, and they would take these conceptual maps and turn them into actual maps. Not to get too much into the weeds, but all those lines represent a bit of a trail corridor. So when they go and ground truth them and actually flag them, it could move, within 10 feet. And that would be working with the park board as well as the park manager to make sure that it didn't, interrupt any of the disc golf course, or if there were cabins or other infrastructure we wanted to tie in to make sure it really kind of played in nicely with the other infrastructure that was there.
I think one thing that would help me too is, and this came up in an earlier funding discussion, but if some of these different trails could be prioritized within the park, like, which, work
Sure.
with Wayne and the park board to see, okay, where would we get the most bang for our buck?
Yeah, so break it down
based on,
within, that.
because we may
steps.
have to, we may have to fund it incrementally, and that's why,
Sure.
and I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but as far as I keep reiterating, this is our strategic vision. If we have to do this in a scaled approach, we're more than happy to. This is what we want to see happen in the county where we all live, So This is just a blueprint that we can go from. If the park has a preference as to one loop that they want to create first, we can begin work on that. And with other things, you know, we've done lots of volunteer efforts to make certain things happen. And if there's parts of those trails that remain unfinished or need work, we can curate as an organization volunteer efforts to make that happen. Usually we do maintenance, but
Now, how did they interact with the group that we formed last year with Bill Wells and I can't remember who the other member was?
Oh, Andy Davis.
That's a 7-county
Yeah,
trail authority.
there's 7 county.
And how do you guys coordinate, like,
We have board members that represent, you know, Fayette Trail Coalition, or at least inform them of what we're doing to that board. So we have some common board members, but other than that, you know, we kind of just talk amongst the different groups, and we're aware of what they're working on. They are aware of what we're working on. So Bill Wells has a large vision map that covers all 7 counties, and he's really, from my opinion, he's really focused on some of the light use and rail trail connectivity. And then we're focused on a little bit more of like concentrated soft surface trails. So our trail networks would be connected by his rail trails or light use roads.
so there's no duplication of effort?
Not
there's
no,
coordination?
we're kind of operating in different scopes. We're focused on Fayette County. They're a larger network and they're focused on a lot of these larger interconnected
Interconnecting the counties.
rail trails. And we're focused on creating recreation sites where someone will load up their bike in the car, ride their bike and go back out, kind of.
Okay.
Well, I tell you, I'd like to see in this, you know, I mean, I'd like to see Oak Hill and Fayetteville connected.
That would be wonderful.
I mean, I thought-
As a resident and, you know, trail person, I would love to see that.
Yeah, and I thought maybe y'all would have done that. I mean, I know you're just talking about it, but I thought with Wolf Creek Park, I thought you at least try to connect Oak Hill to Fayetteville. And I think I made a suggestion of that, but I mean, I don't know whether it'd be that hard. I think it's already mapped. I mean, I may be
Yeah,
wrong.
and you can connect via roads. I mean, I ride from Fayetteville to Wolf Creek most days of the week. So it is an option, but then you're also working with DOH and things like that to get different signage, different bike path, you know, bike lanes and stuff like that. It's a much larger task. We were focused on projects that we could move quickly and efficiently on. So these are just the first 4 projects that we've come up with, but we have a lot of others.
Getting our feet wet. So we're fairly young, well, some of us, me, are new to this, but, and the last little bit is we'd love to see stuff like that. I've tried to map out a couple routes, but it's always tricky in West Virginia because there's lots of patches of private land everywhere. And so it's something that we'd love to help make happen in the future.
So is there anything else that you need from us at this time?
I got one more question for Gina.
Okay.
Gina. I call them whatever I want to call them. Sorry, so apologize.
Same for your organization. He makes that up too.
All right, I'm here. What's up?
Okay, and I did hear you say there's maybe other earmarks or the governor or Senate Mansion may have other funding for trails leading in to the national park from other municipalities. Is that correct?
So we know that it's a priority of the senator to connect the national park via trail. That's the whole reason that this earmark was an opportunity.
Okay.
We can make the assumption that there will be earmarks in next year. And so those would probably be written around, you know, October-ish, sometime in there, if Congress decides they're going to do these again. So what my recommendation is that we go ahead and start doing the planning, the engineering on other trails that connect to the park so that we can then be ready to write another earmark proposal for trails connecting to the park. Does that answer the question?
I answered the question and you said exactly what I'm going to tell the other 2 commissioners and around.
Okay.
He was smiling and I couldn't tell whether he needed a break or what. I told you that.
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be, it would be mature to go ahead and the commission to go ahead and maybe do the same thing for other areas that they did with the 5 other properties.
And it would be very proactive for you all to do that. And if you have ideas of which ones you want to plan, we can use our partnership with the OEDC to help support some of that cost match, and figure out what the price tag would be associated with it. So we could ultimately do what was done with FTC and identify which trails we wanted to do a trail plan for, and then figure out the cost associated with it, so that we can be prepared to write an earmark just like we were here.
Sorry.
Which part?
Is that?
Sorry. We can talk about that. Sorry, I got the commission, sorry.
We're happy to.
I know.
We're all about
I feel like
I
I
just-
just really clubbed a baby seal right now. I don't know what's going on.
I'm so tickled you done that. I was prepared to go ahead and speak on it, but I'm glad you said it. We gave $1,000.
Right.
I think between the people that she mentioned, all Oak Hill, Fayetteville, and whoever it was pitched in, I think a total of $10,000 is what you had, what I remember, so close to it.
Yep, that's correct.
And then they took the ball, whoever, whether it's them or it's Trail Authority, whoever it is, works with them and puts it together. We just give them, we find maybe 5 municipalities, 3 municipalities with the county, put in a little bit of money, and they take it from there, and we give them direction.
And you're happy to do that again?
So what I will ask is that if you have trails identified that connect, that you want to talk about planning, if you can send me those, then I can get a cost associated with it, and then we can talk about where the funds can come from to support the cost to have them planned. And then NRGRDA can commit to writing an earmark proposal. Should we have an earmark opportunity again, we'll commit to writing an earmark proposal for implementation.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Tom, if you can send me a list of the ones you're thinking of, we can go
Okay.
ahead and see what it's gonna cost.
Okay.
And like we said, we're all about trails in Fayette County, and we'd love to help. So let us know how we can help.
Okay.
Mount Hope, Montgomery, wherever. We're all about soft surface trails.
Okay.
So
I think there's already plans from Mount Hope to Oak Hill coming down through.
See, the one I mapped out, I think it can be connected into the national park. And that's what I was talking about, because she's talked about it being connected in the national park, and I thought, well, that's perfect. Because the earmark was only supposed to be for connecting into the national park. I didn't know the other funds had already been dedicated.
Yeah.
So,
And
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think in the next budget round, if this momentum that we've seen locally continues, Mansion will support something in the future. And if we have something in the
We're gonna
quiver,
make a call to it.
yeah, something in the quiver, send it up the way. We're better prepared.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
so much.
Thanks,
for your time.
guys. Appreciate your giving us this.
Oh, thank you. I got all your notes.
And when you digest
Yeah.
it, let us know what next we need to take.
I didn't get a copy.
Yeah, I've had.
Okay, okay. You didn't get one in your box?
Huh?
I got one in my box.
That's the one that I brought out of your box.
You brought this to me out of my box.
Yes. I brought yours and mine, but I gave mine to Diane. So
Oh, I see. Okay.
So is we not taking a break?
You need a break?
I don't need a break, but I'll take one.
You're on the next two.
I know, well, the next one, I'm mixing this one because I just got the information
Mhm.
called yesterday.
Well, how about this? Let's knock out 12:30 since we're gonna get rid of 1
Yeah, that's
o'clock.
fine.
And then we'll go into executive session on our executive session
Yeah.
issues and just
Yeah, that's
take a
fine.
break and
That's fine.
right before we start executive session.
All right. Is Gabe on?
So if Gabe is not,
Oh.
he has a sick kid.
He was on.
Okay.
He's there, he's there.
Okay,
You want him unmuted?
yep.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Good afternoon, commissioners.
Good afternoon.
What's up, Gabe? Gabe, you want to talk about what we want to pull up my map too?
Yes.
So I just forwarded an email to Commissioner Taylor and Commissioner Brenneman. We had a meeting on December 7th. Commissioner Luisos, myself, some representatives from Anstead, from Montgomery, the Strategic Initiatives Council. And we discussed the potential of doing some redevelopment, revitalization along Route 60. And before I get into the brownfield stuff, one of the grant opportunities we discussed was a planning grant through the Appalachian Regional Commission to do a recreational planning initiative for Route 60. I think Commissioner Luisos has some specific ideas he'd like to look into. And I think that the Appalachian Regional Commission, not only will they be a good opportunity to kind of articulate what those recreational opportunities look like, but, and I think, you know, anybody from the NRGRDA can chime in here, but the Appalachian Regional Commission is slated to have 4 times the allocation they've had in the past. So I think we're keeping a close eye on that funding opportunity, and we're hoping early spring to be able to put together a proposal. So I think, Commissioner, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's something we discussed and we were hoping to take a look at as we move forward.
Yes, and I just wanted to basically, I just wanted to have this meeting so the other 2 commissioners knows what I've done, I guess, keep them up, you know, so they're not surprised when we put this in and what we're doing. I just want them to be up to date on it. It's mainly what I wanted to do. And anybody else that had any questions about it.
Sure. So that's one great opportunity I want to look at, but specifically for the agenda item of the community-wide assessment for states and tribes. I did reach out to Carrie Staten with the Northern Brownfields Assistance Center, who is on the call. She is better equipped to speak to the FY23 EPA Brownfield grants opportunities. She's provided a lot of assistance for communities throughout the state on brownfield redevelopment. And she's definitely helped me out with developing Fayette County Commission's proposals in the past. So I'll let her take it from here on FY23 brownfields grants.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Nice to see you guys. So I can answer any questions you have about EPA brownfield grants, but just to kick off, I'll just say that in this last round of EPA brownfield grants, that Fayette County applied for an assessment grant. A few things changed in this most recent round. The one thing was that assessment grant caps went up from $300,000 to $500,000. So that would make more money available if you guys are awarded that grant. And they created what Gabe and I talked about and what you've referenced in your agenda, which is the state and tribal community-wide assessment grants. And just to clarify on those, I have no idea, frankly, whether those are going to stick around. I don't know if that was a one-time thing. There's a lot of changes happening at EPA based on all this new federal funding that's happening. But those are limited to states and tribes only. So only state agencies can apply for those. And only one agency in a state can apply in a year. So West Virginia DEP did apply for that. That grant is very slightly different from the one that Gabe wrote, in that the state had to identify multiple target areas instead of just one. However, both of those grants are the same in that when you write an assessment grant for EPA, you do identify a target area, and it should be a target area that you identify in good faith, in that you mean when you're writing that is a key target area, but you are using that as an illustration of the brownfield situation in your community. And so if you're awarded a grant, you are able to use it anywhere in your service area. So if your jurisdiction is Fayette County and you get that grant, you can use those funds anywhere in Fayette County as long as it's still, you know, all eligible activities and in the spirit of your grant. Every site that you use funding on, regardless of if it's in your target area or not, has to be approved by EPA. So you're not going to accidentally use money somewhere that you weren't able to use money. But basically for you guys, if it's in Fayette County and it is not ineligible for some other reasons that I would help you identify, or George Carrico at the other center would help you identify beforehand, you're going to be able to use it in those areas.
Okay, I have a question. In order for the tribes to qualify, don't they have to be identified by the state?
It has to be federally recognized tribes, yes.
Okay, and since they have not been identified in the state, then right now at this current period in time, we couldn't do anything with tribes.
You can do stuff with tribes. The tribes just could not be an applicant themselves. So if you get this grant, you would find the timeline is that the grants went in December. They're getting sent out for review right now. They'll get reviewed over the spring, and in the spring they'll make an announcement, usually May or June. That may change, and I can tell you a little bit about that in a minute. And then the funding would start on the federal fiscal year, so it would start October 1 and run for 3 years is the typical rate length of the grant. I assume, Gabe, that's what you put. So it would start October 1. You can assess properties owned by not yourself. I mean, I currently at the Brownfield Center have an assessment grant. We own nothing. So everything I assess is owned by someone else. So you can assess stuff, and you could work with it, including a tribe, to assess something. They just would not be an eligible entity as a tribe if they're not federally recognized.
So this grant we're talking about, it will not be put in until this December, correct? Well, what's the date that this grant will be put in?
You guys submitted one in this past December 2021, and so you'll find out about it in the spring. If you do not get it, there will be another couple of rounds potentially. So what's changed, and what I can tell you a little bit about, but I'm still waiting to get more information from EPA, is that the bipartisan infrastructure bill included, similar to what Gabe said about ARC funding getting significant increase. The Brownfields program at EPA also got a significant increase. So they got $1.5 billion for grants over the next 5 years. And those are going to be awarded in a separate cycle from the traditional cycle. And right now, all that we know is that the proposals are likely to be due in July. What I don't know is if you guys get awarded and find out in, say, May that you received your $500,000, I don't know if you will be eligible to apply in this new round, because typically you would not. Typically, you have to have spent most of your grant before you can apply for another one, and they just haven't released those guidelines yet because they're still figuring it out.
Okay, now that makes sense to me. I was okay.
Now, there's supposed to be a bill that's being written so tribes can be identified in the state. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't a part of this one that we've already applied for.
This one that we've done, but hey, we've talked about working on this, submitting it when the time comes.
Yeah.
But she just answered the question.
Yeah.
If we get this one, there's no use doing one for tribes.
Okay.
Still trying to get ahead of it though.
Yeah, trying to get ahead
yeah.
of it is what I was doing.
Yeah.
So we can use it either way.
All right.
Yeah.
Overall, what I would say is that there's going to be a lot of assessment money available in the next 5 years at the very least, if not longer. So even if you guys do not receive your funding, and I think you had a solid application, even if you don't get that funding, if there are things that need to be assessed either for the county or the tribe you're talking about, George or I can help you identify other people's funding that could potentially be used.
I think Angela, well, I appreciate that too, but I think Angela Angela and the municipalities is already starting to make a list. But I appreciate all the help that you can give us. But I just wanted the commission though, and talk about connecting. I really want to, historic 60 is what I really want to try to clean up, and then have trails connecting from municipalities, even off 60 into the gorge, some of the places into the gorge, some of the municipalities. I've mapped some of this out, and even Meadow Bridge and the municipality, the Meadow Bridge, I've mapped it out, but it actually goes down and goes into the gorge in Greenbrier County, Summers County or Greenbrier County. I forgot which one it was. They're just getting it connected, getting all, and I've even mapped out connection between Babcock State Park and Hawks Neck State Park through the gorge with a small connection. But across the river, there's so much historic, and I think there's a great potential of connected trails on the other side of the river. That is one of the reasons I've done this too. Wanted to try to do this too. So I just wanted commissioners to be up to date on what I was working on and being involved in it.
Thank you. I think we ought to definitely make sure Dave and Abby have it on their calendars to start working on it.
They've
They're on
already,
it?
and that Angela's working on it.
Okay.
And I think Greg was here and Mr. Pridemore was here, and they've already started identifying stuff too. I think they've already identified, but we're supposed to meet in March.
Okay.
So under our previous EPA grant, we did work with our environmental contractor to pull together an inventory of commercial and industrial properties all along the valley portion of Route 60. So we have, again, that's industrial and commercial. So those areas we can take a look at if they need any remediation assistance or really assessment assistance, but just to understand what those properties look like and if they're underutilized, if they can be redeveloped.
I don't have any questions right now.
I don't either. But that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like that you're on it.
I don't know that.
Listen, we did not chastise you that much, did we? We held a little intervention, a little agenda intervention yesterday in Ruth's office. Just so we don't have too much at once. Now his little feelings are hurt.
Well, I appreciate y'all showing up and speaking on this and everything. I appreciate you, Gabe, too, even though you got, sorry your son's sick. I appreciate you being on and talking about this. What'd I say?
We just haven't heard you say, I'm not a lawyer, but.
Yeah, I had to mention
And by the
that.
way, even though we lawyers talk a lot, you have a lot of questions.
I do have a lot
So
of
next
questions.
meeting, I'm gonna put a little timer on and see who talks the most between
Well,
me and
Okay.
Won't be
All
me.
right.
we're gonna get it out there.
I'm the thinker,
They're
not the
always good
talker.
questions, though. No, I think it's great.
Okay, now, we said something about extra meetings.
We did. Now, we've got the one on the 21st that we set for the purposes right now, the special meeting, just to give an answer to Montgomery and Smithers.
Okay.
Once we do some analysis, and we have to do more than just identify budget, but we need to understand the full implications. Like if we give that kind of money, what are some of the priority things we've had come in that we're not gonna be able to fund?
It's funny, right?
Well, I didn't think so either, but
It's funny, right, in 2022.
yeah, I didn't, yeah, oh yeah, that's weird. Is there anything else on
No,
that item?
nothing else on that item, unless anybody got any questions.
Anybody? Thank you, everybody. All right, so, and you said the 1 PM discussion is off?
Yeah, it's off. I've actually got somebody, I just got a contact yesterday and I haven't had a chance to contact. them, so.
Okay, well, we'll just strike that until you add it back.
Yeah.
So is there another special meeting or just this one first?
Well, we haven't set one, but we wanted to talk infrastructure on a different day, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought that's what y'all talked about.
Well, we're gonna talk about, well, I mean, we
thought-
haven't talked about what,
I mean, you
I'm still
mentioned
trying
another
to-
meeting.
I'm still trying to get Raleigh County to commit to the date
Yeah,
I
good luck.
identified. Well, no, I mean, I've been in touch with him and I have got to call him in our break, but the 11th might work for that. And that's not going to start until 1. But what we really need to do is to get the rest of our data together and the priorities for, to
That's
provide,
what we was gonna do, have a meeting.
right. They're meeting the 9th through the 11th.
Okay, didn't we say that we'd have a meeting to vote on that? Let's say.
I think it's to vote on on amending the first letter, like whatever else
Okay,
we
yeah,
want to
okay,
identify
okay.
in the first letter.
Yeah,
And we
okay.
do have more data because New Haven came in with
Yeah.
all that in 2 different
So
presentations.
who do you want to give, who do you want to give this information to update the letter?
Well, Gabe, because he wrote the original letter. So I think all he needs to do is incorporate, the New
Okay,
Haven,
okay.
the New Haven data. And we can put him in touch with David if he has any questions. And then, I mean, well, and then the broadband, so we might want to update the letter after we have that meeting, if we have it on the 11th with everybody else, because we might just say, we might be able to say in it, like discussions are underway with other counties about collaborating on,
The internet.
yeah, this big project.
Well, at least have it done before the 16th, 17th, when we go to Charleston.
Yeah,
Well, I think he may need it. They start session.
they're gonna meet the 9th through the 11th.
Yeah.
So.
They need it before then, yeah.
Well, we've got to get something in front of them before then. But we're talking about this meeting with them on the 11th. I mean, we can mention that we're coordinating a meeting. We have interest. I mean, we've had committed interest from all 4 counties.
He needs it before the 9th. I mean, that's just next week.
Well, but all we're doing is updating our letter with the additional new customers and in those
And the
districts
broadband
and those 5 studies that we commissioned today.
Okay.
And I think the broadband, we could try to get a shrunken down version of that map and submit and say, we're working with other counties.
I've got a copy. I'd make it big. I've got them in there waiting.
Do we get one for?
Believe it or not, I told
For
Ruth,
Austin?
I told Ruth, yeah, and I said, we'll just send the whole big map, all these maps, even the water project maps. I got
Well,
them
according
too.
to John Tuckle, Nicholas County has a map like ours, so we might want to try to get, and I'll talk to my contact, and we might want to try to get a
But
copy of
But
theirs.
sending the map or taking the map, I think is important, along with the letter to show, there's work been done.
Yeah. I almost think we need to go down there before our conference.
It doesn't matter.
I think we need to go down there before the,
I'm-
take those PSD guys.
I'm game.
All right.
If John can make it, I'll make sure I can make it.
Yeah.
Well, y'all want to, I mean, John has,
A
he
couple
said
of
he had an
doctors.
appointment on the 11th and the 13th is when he had them.
And they're in session 9 through what?
Y'all want to try to go down on Monday, the
This
10th?
coming Monday?
Yeah.
Can.
I think I can do that.
I have an 11:20 appointment in Beckley, but I can, so we could go like do you want to go like at 2, see if we can, do you want to see if Austin can facilitate some discussions?
If he'll answer. He'd probably answer y'all quicker than he would me.
He would probably answer me quicker.
Can.
Look at that. Somebody put this on my desk.
Yeah, I wonder
Been
what
there
that
for
was
months.
about.
Has it been there that long?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder where that came from. Oh, no, I wrote that.
You
to
wrote
you.
that?
I wrote that during the meeting. You already read that. That should really only apply to you that singular time. We all know who it applies to on the regular. All right, so let's get this, let's think on this and.
Okay, I sent him a message.
Can we have a motion for executive session? I'll just list, well,
Oh, yeah.
we need to discuss the item 8 on the exhibit list
I'll make a motion to do an executive session.
to discuss the request from 911 for promotion and pay
There
increase.
you go.
Okay, I second it. So we're going into executive session at 12:48. If he has questions. Okay, we're back from executive session at 1:33. We discussed an administrative matter and did I borrow your, yeah, I did. About promoting one of our 911 center shift supervisors or somebody who's been acting in the position of shift supervisor for several months and who was a prior employee of the 911 center, has a lot of years experience and has all her certifications to the supervisor position and increase her salary to match that of a shift supervisor. The individual is Sarah Hill, and her salary would increase by $3,200 to the total of $30,240 a year, which still makes her an hourly employee. Can I get a motion for?
So moved.
Second.
So that means all those in favor?
Aye.
we all agree that this should happen. So, effective date,
I guess the date of the,
I would say, can we do it to January first? There's not an adjustment.
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So backdate it to January 1st.
Yeah.
Okay.
correct.
Alrighty.
To adjourn.
Second.
So, oh, yeah. That's, yeah. And